everybody out there. Welcome to the Eye Test, the sports show where we challenge what you see on the stat line with what you see with your eyes on the field. I'm with my normal co-host, Shawn, last name redacted, and our sports correspondent, Tyrone, and his challenger, Kratos. So as you can see, we got a full show today. We got 4 hosts for you today, and we'll be talking about UFC 256, Anthony Joshua, all things that's happening in football and things that's happening in basketball. We got a packed show for you, so we're going to try to get to it all today. Anyway, let's get into it. So I'm going to start early. Shawn, how you doing?
Man, I'm feeling good, man. You know what, man? So if y'all paid attention previously, one of the last times Tyrone was on, we got these hoodies. He hooked us up with these hoodies right here, you know. Let me tell you something, Mark. I don't know if you've experienced this yet, but these things are thin, right? But then the line, like the inside, is nice and soft. They feel good. I know you said that before, but they also stand up to the cold weather is what I'll say. Like, if you think that just because it's thin, it's not going to keep you warm, you're mistaken. You're going to be out there sweating if you play around with it. So high quality material. I appreciate it. Once again, Tyrone, Small World Artistry. Look them up, Google it. You'll find it. You'll find the Facebook page, Etsy. Check them out. Definitely.
Yeah, man. I love my Small World stuff. I'm gonna have to get another shirt that says I ain't gonna let you do that. But I got this joint right here that says I've seen worse. So you know, I mean, it is.
I've seen worse is still hilarious to me. Yeah,
title
that.
Of one of our episodes. So you know, it is what it is. But anyway. Tyrone, welcome back. We missed you last week. Chris was waiting for you last week. And
You said you was ducking the fade, man.
Yeah. You was ducking the fade last week, bro? Where you been? Where you been, Brody? Okay,
you know, it's crazy.
How you doing though?
I'm all right. I'm doing great, man. I'm glad to be back. Can't complain.
Okay, yeah. See, he's focused on one word answers.
We can't even throw him off his game. We trying to get him loose, dog. He was all smiles and giggles and shit in the pregame. Now the cameras is rolling. Now he must have got something up his sleeve today.
Yeah, he got that Kanye face going. The smile to the
series. I always got to be on my guard with you guys, man. You guys
are just Mark. Who you talking about? Both of us?
It depends, man. Y'all pass the football off, you know. Y'all I think I get an ally, I turn my back, and then this guy's
like, you think I want to do this? Look, man, I'm just here to do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
If you just happen to be on the opposite end of that, then maybe you should evaluate how you go about things, Tyrone. That's it. I don't know what else to tell you, man.
All right, and we got the British Kratos. What's good? How you doing, Chris?
Yeah, I'm back, man. I'm back. I'm not gonna lie. I was nervous the first time. You know, I was nervous because it was my first podcast, so I was kind of I was a bit. But I'm good this time. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, so okay. So he says he got his sea legs in. All right, here we go. We about to get into it. Let's do it, man. Not for the talking, man. Let's just get into it. So, big fight weekend. Anthony Joshua had his heavyweight bout this weekend. I'm just going to start off by saying, Chris, what was your takeaways from that Anthony Joshua fight?
I mean, it was what was expected, to be honest. Like Pulev, he's only got the one loss against Vladimir Klitschko, but just he didn't really pose much of a threat. With Joshua, obviously you worry because of what you saw in the Ruiz fight. And he did, like, the reason he lost that first Ruiz fight was because he got crazy. He started fighting like Deontay Wilder. You know, he was swinging. He hurts him, and then he starts swinging for the fences. And I don't like it when guys do that because, you know, he got sloppy. Luckily, he calmed down. He got away with it, and he finished him later in the fight. But at first, when he put him down the first time, he started getting a little crazy. And, you know, Ruiz hit him on the temple in the first fight, and that kind of took him off his game. So that could have happened with Pulev. Luckily, it didn't. But he did his job, man. He took care of business.
Okay. Tyrone, you have any thoughts about the Anthony Joshua fight from this past weekend?
No, not much. I really didn't get a chance to sit down and watch it. So I caught the highlights of it. But yeah, it's like you said, like Chris said, it was to be expected. You know, when he's fighting the right fight, Anthony Joshua is a hard person. He's a champ for a reason, you know. And Anthony Ruiz fight, a lot of people may have thought maybe he didn't have it, but everybody knew, you know, when that rematch came, that Anthony was going to get that back. We don't know. Like we joked, and we were like, he came out for the Anthony Ruiz fight. He must have got some bad news or something because he just wasn't himself. But he definitely showed up. I saw the pre-fight when they were doing the weigh-ins. You know, he was real hype. You know, a little bit more aggressive than I've seen him be before, and he got the win. He turned into the guy he needed to be. So.
Okay. So, Shawn.
So for me, you know, this is I saw this fight and I was like, okay, this is I don't know, but what better way to explain it other than it was typical Anthony Joshua fight. That's what it looked like to me. It looked like many of his other fights previous to this. You know what I mean? He is a guy that is a defensive fighter that picks his spots to attack. To me, I get why some people just look at it and look at his fights and they're just like, well, there's nothing exciting about this guy. You know what I mean? What I happen to notice is looking at this fight, looking at the previous fights before the Ruiz fight, I just look at Anthony Joshua, and I remember before Wilder went on his run and before the two Tyson Fury fights with Wilder, I know there was a lot of praise being heaped on Anthony Joshua. And it felt like, it's like, yeah, Anthony Joshua's the guy, you know, even though he's kind of, as far as his fights go, he was just starting to get into fighting the names, right? And it felt like now when I review and look at everything, now that Tyson Fury has come back, and I really look at Anthony Joshua and I ask the question, is he really that good? Like, is he really that good of a boxer? Or is it that the heavyweight division has just been so piss poor lately that we see somebody that has any semblance of a boxing skill and we attach ourselves to them and say, this is the guy? Because I personally, from what I've seen with him previous to these fights, not counting the Ruiz and this fight, I would love to see him fight Tyson Fury because I don't know if he can beat him. And because he's so defensive, I don't know if he would last long enough to beat Deontay Wilder. I want to know what y'all thoughts are on that.
Okay, well, before y'all get into that, I'm just going to say this, man. Y'all say what y'all want about this, about the Ruiz fight, but Ruiz beat that boy ass. That's just a simple fact, dog. Like, you could say like he got wild and crazy, but the fact of the matter is that you have a dude that actually out of shape dude that took a fight on a short notice that outboxed the champion. Like, he outboxed the champion. And it's not like, oh, he hit him with a lucky punch. No, he outboxed the champion. Like, that shouldn't happen. Like, that shouldn't have happened. And the fact of the matter is, like, in my opinion, from what I saw in the second fight, against Ruiz, he didn't look all that great then. Like, I was expecting him to put on a clinic, like, and return to form, and he didn't look all that great then. It was just more so the fact that Ruiz, like, had the belt and went crazy in the off season and didn't really, you know what I mean? He was feeling the high life. Like, dude came in crazy. He came in crazy overweight for the second fight.
As if he wasn't out of shape enough, man. The man showed up and looked even more out of shape. Yes.
Yeah, it's like Ruiz came in crazy out of shape for the second fight, and then, like, you know what I mean, like, so, and his stamina was off. It was a sloppy mess on his part. So of course he would have lost that. Like, I'm really curious. Like, I don't know if you guys saw Ruiz lately, but I'm really curious if those two was to run it back for a third time, would Joshua win? Because Ruiz now, he's actually in physical shape to be in the boxing ring. Like, and Anthony Joshua, I haven't seen anything that would say like that there's an improvement from what I saw against Ruiz before. I just seen it go from, okay, if basically the best way I could put it is like, have my eyes been deceiving me this whole time? Have you been fighting tomato cans this whole time? And I thought they were real, opponents. And then the first time you fought a real opponent, he beats you, and then you go back to a tomato can in Pulev. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not necessarily his fault. It's just more so that the heavyweight division ain't shit. So that's just kind of where I'm at with my thought process on the situation.
Well, so let me go back to what you were saying about the Ruiz fight. So if you watch, I think it was the third round when he knocked Joshua down, right? So before that, he was winning that fight. So for me, like, I'm not saying it was a lucky shot. I'm just saying Joshua got a little bit crazy. You know, he's trying to finish him, gets a little bit careless, gets clipped, and that was it. From then on, it was just all Ruiz. So I get what you're saying there, and then going back to the second fight, I think, I mean, obviously Joshua's going to fight cautious, isn't he? He just lost his belts. Mm-hmm. He has to win that, because if he loses that, he's done. He's finished. Yeah. He's not getting a big fight anymore.
Done.
So he has to win that fight. There's all that pressure. So of course he's going to fight. He's going to be conserved. He's not going to, try to finish him. He's just trying to win the fight. So, I mean, I saw that go in the full 12 rounds.
Yes, that is an excellent point. It's just like, I guess, but you can see how visually I look at that and be like, well, now I question your ability because of what you're displaying. Like, the cautious victory, just like listen, from a business standpoint, do what you got to do. But like, just from a boxing and entertainment standpoint, it's like, all right, maybe you're not the guy that I thought you were.
So for me, real quick, I'm gonna let Tyrone get to it, but I'm gonna just say two things to what you said, Chris. To two things that stand out to me is, you said, he knocked him down in the third, and basically he wasn't right after that. Now, to me, this is my problem with that, is if you're a boxer, if you are a fighter, the real test to me, when I really start to judge you, is after you've been touched. He responded like somebody who just got punched in the mouth for the first time, and he responded very badly to that. Okay, he looked like a wounded animal. He was running around frantic. I ain't never seen him box like that. Everybody was wondering if he was sick, if there was something wrong with him. People thought he was having a panic attack. Like, it looked like he was having a panic attack. Like I cannot just ignore that and write that off. Like, because like you said, he remembered that. He remembered that knockdown. He remembered the defeat. Like it's
took it into the next fight.
It's one thing, yeah. He took it into the next fight. It's one thing if somebody, and I talked to Mark about this earlier. I remember Hasim Rahman knocking out Lennox Lewis. Everybody gets hit with a good punch from time to time. Even the best boxers can be taken out by a puncher. Okay, he got knocked out. The very next match, it's like he had a chip on his shoulder. He came out. Not only did he outbox him completely, but he knocked him out quick. Like he knocked him out. Like that's the response that I want to see from a fighter. Not the now I gotta be careful because
now I gotta make business decisions.
Yeah, that reminds, like I said, that reminds me of the Chris Weidman Anderson Silva rematch, which also led to Anderson Silva never being the same anymore after that. You know what I'm saying? Anderson Silva has not shown the same confidence for the rest of his career. Like, I'm questioning whether or not Anthony Joshua will have the confidence to fight guys like a Deontay Wilder and like a Tyson Fury. But okay, now and fast forward, and you're talking about I'm trying to think of the other point you made, but either way, Anthony Joshua, that's my problem, is like that fight affected him. It is absolutely right to question how he's doing afterwards. This fight he was not challenged. You can't, like, after seeing this fight, can you say to yourself that anything different will happen the next time he gets knocked down?
I mean, honestly, I think Fury's going to beat him. So
that's what I'm saying. So go ahead, Tyrone. I'm gonna let you go to give your thoughts on all that.
No, I just thought it was funny how Mark was using circumstances to justify the win of Anthony Joshua, saying that old boy came in overweight, he went crazy. I don't want to hear that. So what happened? Dude got hit third round, like you say, he got knocked down. Probably something he didn't expect to happen based off the opponent. You mean, you got to go into the mental aspects of it. You got Anthony Joshua coming in, big name coming in. You got this guy who's shorter than you. Physically, he's not intimidating. And then you get hit, you feel his power, right? So I get what you're saying. You're saying, how do we know that he's going to be this world beater after he takes a defeat? Well, we saw what happened when he came back. I don't want to hear about, he came in overweight and he went crazy when he got the belt. And, he wasn't practicing like he was. He wasn't doing this. And that's why Anthony Joshua beat him. Anthony Joshua came back and he did what he had to do. I always questioned the loss that he took from Ruiz, that something was going on in this man's life. Like, even when the referee was talking to him, like, he was just not himself. He wasn't him. And it happens. I mean, he's an athlete, but he's a person. And when it comes to him fighting Fury, I believe he'll fighting Deontay Wilder. I'm sorry. I think he'll beat Deontay. Just because Wilder is.
He should beat him, is what I'm saying.
But to Sean's point, Deontay Wilder probably has the hardest hit hand in boxing. And to Sean's point of the fact that you lost your shit when Ruiz knocked you to the ground, what's going to happen if one punch connects from Deontay Wilder? Like, where's your mental space going to be then?
Well, we normally see when that happens, the mental space is out in space because people get knocked out. So it's not one of those punches you can get up from. Like even Fury getting up was ridiculous. So if he gets hit, I think he'll be down.
But you see, like Tyson Fury handled that shit, and like I know that Deontay Wilder had to have a little bit of fear in his heart when he saw Tyson Fury get up, and like not only did he get up, like usually when you see people get up off of hits like that, they so wobbly leg, they're like done. Like usually the other fighter's like, okay, I'm about to get him up out of here. And like Tyson came back and was boxing like that shit didn't even just happen. Like it had to strike a little bit of fear and take a little bit of confidence out of Tyson Fury. But
sure.
but to the point, to that fact, it's like, yo, Tyson Fury came off of a hiatus and did this. I feel like Tyson Fury came off of a hiatus and immediately walked in being a better fighter than Anthony Joshua.
Right.
Well,
it takes.
Go ahead.
It takes, like, with Tyson Fury, his whole entire story, man. Like when you fight, it takes some mental fortitude, and just hearing how he's come through a lot of these obstacles from drug abuse, alcoholism, weight loss. I mean, so getting up off that ground to me was symbolizing, all his mental challenges he went through. It was just something he broke through. Some people don't have to go to those things, and they will mentally break. So, whose mental was better? I believe Tyson Fury's mental state is better.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody at the heavyweight division has a mental state as strong as that. But like you said, his history goes into that. Okay, well then fine. Then here's what I'll end this with, because although I know Mark said what he said, I said what I said, but I think the general consensus between what me and Mark is trying to say is that I believe that his mental toughness is why we question what his ceiling is. I don't know what his ceiling is going to be if what he showed me is going to be the ceiling for his mental toughness. And you know how it is when it comes to fighting. That's not something that you just grow. Either you got it or you don't. I don't know too many people that have changed their level of mental toughness and grown stronger in that over time, especially after they've been devastated by something. I mean, it has to be world shaking to get beat up by Anthony Ruiz. It has to be like unexpected. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's got to be like a certain level of embarrassment to it. You know what I'm saying? Like you're like, I don't even know why am I on the canvas? I don't even know why I'm here. Like, let me get up, and then you're like, let me try to get him up out of here, and then you're like, wait a minute, he's counter punching. He's hit me with some tough hits. He got a lot more power than I thought. Like, it had to be world shaking. It had to have him questioning what his actual skill set was. What I'm saying is, usually when somebody's mental is broken like that, if you're a fighter, usually it's a tough thing to come back from. So it's not that we're questioning his skill set. His skill set is his skill set. We just question whether or not he has the mental fortitude to be able to follow through and win the tougher matchups that he's going to have coming in the future.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned before, the face off, seeing him as aggressive as he was, it kind of seemed like he had that. He had it, like he got it from somewhere. Like usually quiet, you know what I mean? Yeah. On the talk shows, he's quiet. He's humble. He's not really boasting like Mike Tyson used to do. But he looked like an animal, you know.
No, he looked confident. You know? He looks like he's got confidence about him. I want to see that versus somebody worthy, though.
Yeah, because against Ruiz, the second time, all his pre-fight interviews didn't exude confidence at all. None of them.
Yes.
So it makes me question Joshua, but let's wrap that up, because good fight for Joshua. Hopefully, honestly, I don't want to see another fight from Joshua, from Tyson Fury, or from Deontay Wilder unless it's one of them fighting each other. Like,
I agree.
And preferably, I don't want to see Tyson Fury versus Wilder again. Not yet.
Yes.
So
I feel you. I 1,000% feel you, man.
So hopefully they figure that out very soon.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on. We are going into UFC 256. See, I told you guys, big fight weekend. Had boxing and UFC this weekend. And with that, I'm gonna just ask you guys, without going into detail of the fight, just what was your favorite fight of the evening?
Gotta be the main event.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I guess that was kind of stupid, right? Because the main event was hands down fight of the year by far. Like, I mean, and there has been some incredible fights this year, but that was insane. Like, that was
the only one close to it is Joanna and Weili, like earlier in the year.
Yes, that's a close second. Yeah. That's a close second if you ask me, because that was definitely one of those where you're just like, yo, I don't know how either of these people are standing, but I felt the same way about the main event on this fight. Definitely. I don't know how Moreno was still fighting after some of the shots he was taking, man.
Right.
All right. So all right, man. Let's just start with the first fight of the main event. Junior Dos Santos versus Gain, and Gain won from a punch that was, I guess, considered the side of the head, but it was dangerously close to the back of the head. Now, mind you, Dos Santos was getting his ass beat anyway.
He was getting cleaned up, man.
Yeah.
They did him a favor.
Yeah, like
they did him a favor, dog. Hey,
like, do you? But I guess I don't really have too much to say about the fact that because Game was just definitely winning. But I guess my question to you guys is, do you feel that punch was to the back of the head?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
Okay, well, I really want to know because, like, in looking at the highlight, it looked like 3 out of the 4 knuckles was on the back of his head. So, like, what? So what's your personal justification for saying that it wasn't? Now, I understand.
Oh, I'm ready to listen now, but go ahead.
Like, yeah, so I'm just curious.
I mean, okay, yeah. So I'm gonna be honest, man. I'd have to see the replay again. I just don't care because he was getting his ass whooped, man. So I don't even.
See, that's an honest. Thank you.
But that's an honest opinion. But I literally think that's how the ref treated it. Like, he didn't give a fuck because he was getting his ass beat. He was like, I don't care if he hit you in the back of the head. Like, you shouldn't be here. He's beating your ass. Like,
Yeah.
That's how it felt.
I 1,000% thought he got punched in the back of the head. It wasn't like directly in the back of the head, but I mean, let's just say that punch wasn't in the back of the head. He still would have gotten dropped by that punch. Like, I don't, like, it doesn't matter. That's what, like, I understand. Right. Like, the rest was like, I don't know, man. Tyrone, what's your, I got something else I want to add to this, but I'll let Tyrone give his opinion before I get into it.
Yeah, I don't feel it was the back of the head because in those rules, you can't turn your head when incoming punches
he did
coming in on you.
And he did turn his head.
Use it as an excuse as he hit me in the back of the head. Like, he saw those punches coming because he was on onslaught of attacks, and he turned his head. And you can't do that and say, "Oh, you hit me in the back of the head." It's like, you saw it coming. Why'd you expose the back of your head? It's like if he was on the ground punching me and from the side or something, and every time he's hitting me in the face, I'm exposing the back of my head, using it as a shield. So, and I don't even know why Dos Santos got up and complained. Like, you were done, bro. Like, you should just let that go. So
okay, so
he stunned him with a jab. Like, he was done after that first jab. Like, the combination, the onslaught started with a jab, and you can see Dos Santos start walking back. He was out of there already. So, back of the head or not, he was already done.
So it's not that you don't agree that it was to the back of the head. You just feel as though it's a justified shot to the back of the head, given that Junior Dos Santos was turning his head away from the punch.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Okay, yeah. So what I'll say is, yes, I think that him turning his head did kind of help it be to the back of the head. I think it still would have been to the back of the head, even if he didn't turn his head. But like I said, all of that, now we're talking about, now we're just nitpicking, man. Like, but what I will say is this, Dos Santos was getting bullied, absolutely bullied the entire match. I saw my boy Paul, shouts out to him. He posted, and he was, after the fight was done, he was like, okay, can we now finally just say that we're done with Juniors, with Dos Santos, man? And he said that, and I was like, oh man, that's how you feel about it? And then I really thought about, I watched the match again. I watched it, and I'm just like, okay, man, I don't know, man. It definitely looked like he did not belong in the ring.
Well, with Cyril Gane is a different animal. Like he moves like he's a middleweight. You know, he's a heavyweight.
Yes, he was
really big, really tall, and he has multiple.
And he has power.
Yeah, and he has power, and he moves quickly. That's crazy for a heavyweight.
But to me, the only reason why I asked the question is, I don't think there's anything that Dos Santos could have done differently defensively, but I just felt like Dos Santos looked slightly sluggish on offense. And that's what my concern was. And you could tell that after the first couple hits, Dos Santos was fighting like somebody who said to himself, if I don't get him up out of here soon, I'm going to be in trouble. I mean, he was cocking them back from back here, trying to get some hits off. And I mean, even the ones that weren't coming from back here looked a little sluggish. And I know I've said this before on the show, like when you're in the heavyweight division, your prime window is so small. It's only a few years. And usually what happens is the younger guys, usually there's somebody younger, somebody stronger, somebody faster, more physical. Like and that gap becomes so big, so fast that one year you're contending with everybody, and the next you're not. Now, and I do understand your point. You know, his opponent is just superior. But my question is, how much longer does Dos Santos have, in your opinion?
Well, I'm going to cut that short, and Dana White is pretty much answering that question for everyone. In the post-fight interview, he basically said Junior may be done. So it is what it is. What I'm saying. He pretty much cut that short and is answering that.
I think he should be done.
That Cyril Gane loss was his fourth straight loss. So it's usually a 3-strike you're out.
Usually it's 3,
but you know, he gives favor to his bigger name fighters
and
or the people
former
who used to be
champions.
somebody back in the day. But former champions. But 4 in a row, he's probably Bellator material now.
I don't even,
do a shot at Bellator. Maybe? That's crazy.
Well, I'm not crapping on Bellator. I'm just saying Bellator is stacking the roster with a lot of past UFC.
Yes. I mean, it's normal. It's typical Bellator shit that happens. You know, it's safer for him down there. He's not gonna. I don't think he's saying he's gonna show up to Bellator and be running shit. Like no, but
he can get past Ryan Bader. Bader's gonna.
But yeah. So. But yeah, that's it. That's all I have for the Dos Santos combo. But yeah, that dude was getting cleaned up. At the end of the fight, they saved his life, man. That's what they did. They saved his life because I don't like. Was it a round and a half? Like
it was 2 rounds.
It was 2 rounds.
All right.
But what I'm saying is, like, it felt like an eternity that I was watching him get his ass. Like that was his 4th straight loss and his 4th straight knockout. Like he's been knocked out. He never had a chance,
KOs, you know. So
never had a chance.
Doing damage.
So
21 is not a bad record.
Real question, real quick. So with Gane, with this Gane victory, it's hard. It's still very hard to get really excited about the heavyweight division because it feels like, and I read some of this in an article earlier today, but it feels like the division itself is kind of stagnated with Stipe taking his time on his next fight. You know what I'm saying? And then it's Francois, and then after that, you know, John has dibs on a champ after that. So it's like you have guys that are moving up, but they kind of get stuck because now they're stuck because of this guy has to have his 3rd fight against the same opponent that he already lost to. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, like, move on. Like, I want to see new opponents fight each other. Like, I don't want to see the same shit for the 4th time, please.
Okay, now let me. This is the issue they're running into. is the new guard has moved in. And then you have the newer guys that are a lesser class. And the gap is the gap of resume is big. The people in the middle that have the resume that would be considered to be higher than that new guys on the up and coming, those guys are on a down slope. Okay, so either you're going to see them fight some guys that should be on their way out because of status, or you're giving a younger guy an opportunity that they shouldn't have too early. And I feel like that's the issue that they're having with the heavyweight division. So what they're doing is, instead of letting one of these, because what are you going to do? Are you going to have Stipe fight one of these guys up on the up and coming? No, he's a champ. Are you going to have Francis fight one of these guys? Francis wants a shot at the belt. Doesn't matter how many times he's had a shot. He's right there. Like he's at his position. So no matter what you do, if you have one of these young up and coming guys fight one of the top tier guys, then it's gonna make them feel like one of the top tier guys feel like they're being slighted.
I don't give a fuck if you feel like you're being slighted. If you already lost, move out the way. Win or get out the way.
I feel you. But this is the new Dana White. He's been like this for a while.
But this is why the heavyweight, nobody checking for the fucking heavyweight division no more.
They're not letting these guys mix it up, man. They're not letting these guys. He's protecting the top tier guys.
Dana's not marketing the heavyweight division, and he's not making champions. This is what the UFC is about. It's about making you believe in somebody with a myth or something like that. And he's not marketing that. I mean, look at the heavyweight division that last like year and a half. He's just been feeding that shit to Daniel Cormier. Like,
exactly.
You know, and that's why, because nobody likes Daniel. So when you think of the heavyweight division,
let's talk about it.
Let's not. No, I don't want to talk about more Daniel hate.
No, I was going to talk about Stipe. Stipe forced himself into the position that he's in.
Yeah.
They didn't choose him.
Yeah.
That motherfucker beat up enough people to where to where they ain't got no choice. Like, that's what it is. Like, if you look at Stipe's resume, you might even look and be like, damn, why did it take him so long to get here? Like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, he beat up enough people, but they like Francis. They're not gonna feed Francis no young cats like coming up. Like, nah, they like him.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Francis, you had your shot.
He's had his shots, yes.
But he's the rightful number one contender, is he not? He's beating everybody.
That's what I'm saying. The guy,
the
guys below him, huge.
But here's the thing. Yes, you are the rightful number one contender, but you've had your shot several times. At this point, there's guys beneath you that are waiting. If you want your next shot at the champ, beat one of the guys beneath you. Otherwise, they need to be in your slot because you're just holding the slot right now.
I mean, I agree with you. I feel like if I'm the rightful number one contender, then what harm does it do to show that? You know what I mean? By beating somebody coming up, by taking a fight with Steel Gang or something, or taking a fight with somebody else. But there literally isn't anybody else. Maybe Curtis Blades.
That gap, man.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Really
I just think that the UFC is in a situation to where it's hard for them to maneuver through it. I personally don't like the way they're maneuvering through it either. I agree with you, Mark, but it's almost like they're handling the top tier guys with kid gloves, which is, to your point, Mark. Like, you lost, dog. Go fight somebody. I'm sorry that this is who they have to fight. You think Stipe wants to fight you again? You're just who he has to fight, okay? But these are the guys that you have to fight. Fight them. Like, so my question to you then, to all three of you guys, because I don't know if all of you guys
Chris,
feel
you're shaking your head. Why are you shaking your head?
Because Francis, when he lost to Stipe, he did fight several guys, and he's back in the number one position, so... What else does he have to do?
Yeah,
you know,
so that brings to my question. Then I want to hear from all three of you guys. If you were in control of who gets to fight who in the heavyweight division, how would you be setting it up, and would it look any differently than what Dana White's doing right now?
Yes. Yes.
Well, who would you have Stipe fight, and who would you have Francis fight? What kind of fights would you be looking at?
For me right now, obviously, like, I wouldn't bullshit around with the John Jones Stipe shit. I'd be like, nah, that's just the next fight. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm if Francis wants to fight the winner of that, great, but that's the next fight. Like, I'm not serving up leftovers for the third time. Like, nah, I need a new plate. And that's just how, and legitimately, if Stipe, like, I would just say, if I don't serve up a heavyweight fight until March or until April, then I just don't serve up a heavyweight fight until March or April. But I'm not serving leftovers before I serve up a new plate. Like, that's just not happening.
Yeah. Okay, Tyrone. What
yeah,
fight would you want to see?
Like Mark said, I probably would just wait on the John Jones thing. I mean, that's going to be the most exciting one. The heavyweight division is deep. I don't know if it's the fighters not turning around their fights fast enough, or I don't know if his inventory is just low on heavyweight fighters. But yeah, that would be the fight to make, and then whoever won that one. So I agree with Mark on that.
Okay, Chris.
Because I don't want to see Stipe and Ngannou again. I mean, there are some changes. It could be a good fight if Ngannou changes fighting style.
I think it's not even that we don't want to see them again. We just feel like we just saw them.
Right.
Like, it just feels like it's closer together. I don't know how close these fights are, but it feels like we just saw it, you know? So it feels like we just saw the same three people fight each other a bunch of times. So,
he did. You saw Daniel Cormier fight this man 3 times.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. Yeah. So Chris,
that's why we're bored, because we watch the same fight so much.
Yeah. So what would you like to see? How would you like to see these next set of heavyweight fights go?
Yeah, man, there's only 2 acceptable people for Stipe to fight, and that's either John Jones or Francis Ngannou. That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
So my question is, and it seems like it's pretty unanimous to you guys, and I just find it interesting. So, like, you guys basically, I think it's just because of the positions, the way that everything's shaken out for both fighters, Stipe and John Jones. You feel like there's nobody left for Stipe to fight, and there's nobody left for John Jones to fight. Let's have them fight each other, right? I'm saying, so, like, none of you guys would want to see John Jones fight Francis or anybody else. You guys just want John Jones?
Yes.
Giving him an immediate title shot. I'm up for that. Beating Ngannou, and then you can get Stipe.
Because if I was Dana White, that's what I would do, because I want to see John Jones fight a heavyweight fight before I just hand him a title fight in the heavyweight division. But I also, the way that I look at it is, I would want to spread. I mean, you're working with a thin plate. I'm trying to spread it out. And the only way to spread it out is to not feed John Jones straight to Stipe, because once you blow that load, then what else do you have? Like, I would try to give John Jones a tune-up fight. Not to say that Ngakoue is not to say that he's a tune-up fight, but you know what I mean. Like, I want to see him fight in the heavyweight division before I see him fight for the heavyweight division title.
Right.
Okay, that is fair. That's fair, I guess.
And that's not just a trash fight. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I want to give him a quality opponent in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, the only way I challenge that is because Daniel got the immediate shot. So that's the only reason why.
You don't want the rules to change for John Jones. You don't want the rules.
Yeah,
to
like
change.
like don't all of a sudden like, oh, now. But I understand it from a making money standpoint. But
hey, give DC the 4th fight, man. Let's do it.
You don't even want the 4th fight.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
I can't take that man crying in the middle of the ring anymore. We got to move on from that. So,
nah.
All right, man. Moving on. Moving on.
Back in the locker room when Dana told him that he wasn't gonna fight, he was crying. Man, crying all the time.
Moving on to the next fight, we got Kevin Holland versus Souza. All right, man. This fight ended in an improbable way. It seems like Kevin Holland watched Naruto right before the fight because he did a talk no jutsu. And
okay. I'm like,
Hey, Chris, nerd shit. All right.
yeah, he did a talk no jutsu, dropped Sousa's defenses and knocked him out from the ground. So
I think that really is the reason why he won that fight, because he had him laughing at him while he was on
exactly.
top. And when he didn't see it coming,
I'm telling you, he talked no jutsu to the bull. Like
he's like, I've seen this in the dream. This is crazy. He was like laughing. Bam.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened, because like they was exchanging jokes and then he just threw a hook. Like so it was so random, dog. It was crazy.
That's just funny to me, man. Go ahead. Nah, go.
Chris, go ahead and share your thoughts, man.
No, I mean it's just kind of the fact that like Jacare Souza's so high level as far as jiu-jitsu goes. I mean, he took him down and I don't know about you guys, but I was thinking, okay, this is over. This is probably going to be over.
He hit him down a couple times.
Yeah, exactly. So,
But,
I mean...
but Holland defended himself very well.
Extremely well.
Yeah.
I was going to say, to your point, Mark, so you mean to tell me that Holland pulled off what Paulo Costa was trying to pull off with Adesanya, like, because shit didn't work for Costa. Izzy wanted to go up for the bullshit. Izzy was like, I know what you're trying to do. I watch anime too. like nah, but but this it's wild that somebody could do that, could talk you right out of your game, man. But I will say this, Holland, man, he came into that fight with a lot of energy, man. A lot of energy.
A lot of momentum. 5-0 for the year, man.
Man, he looked, it's not just about confidence sometimes, man. Like both fighters came in with confidence. Both fighters looked like they were getting off what they was trying to get off. And man, Holland got himself out of a couple of jams pretty quickly, I might add. And not only was he defending himself, he was attacking from those positions. Right. And I think that's what helped him get out of those jams was, you know, he wasn't gingerly trying to fight it.
Did you see the strikes that he was throwing? The strikes that he was throwing from the ground.
That's what I'm saying. Like
them elbows to the head. Like, oh my God.
Like, I mean, when I see him hit the mat, at first I was like, oh, he's in trouble. Then like 2 seconds later, it's like, oh, I don't know who's in trouble right now. Like, it's like either you mount him or you get the hell off of him at this point, because he's clocking you. Like, you gotta so it's his aggressiveness. It didn't go away when he hit the mat, and that's what helped him get out of those jams. I was impressed, you know, but I don't know, man. Like the fight was that fight was actually another good fight. I really enjoyed this fight. Ended a little quicker than I thought it would. But
I thought this was done as soon as Jacare grabbed him to the ground.
Yeah, like I mean,
never pictured him standing over Jacare, like beating him with his feet behind his back. It's crazy.
Dog, I don't know, man. It was a crazy fight. It was really fast paced. I enjoyed it. Shout outs to Holland for winning the fight. Like it's just a very unpredictable one. Like you said, I don't think anybody expected him to get up off that mat, and especially in the manner and fashion which he did. But crazy fight, really good fight, loved it.
Does anybody know Holland's rank currently?
I can't remember what Jacare's rank was. I want to say that. What was Jacare, 7? Was he ranked 7? I don't think
he was. He was removed from the rankings because he went up to 205. So I don't even think he was ranked at the time. But obviously he's got a reputation. So Holland's going to move up the rankings for sure.
Holland after the fight, he's ranked officially number 10.
Oh, okay. Nice.
That's what it says, number 10.
So, all right. Well, here's the thing. I'm just going to throw this out there very quickly. Not that I necessarily think he deserves the shot yet or anything, but simply from an entertainment standpoint, I have to see him fight Izzy. I have to. They had words.
Yeah.
They had words.
They've had words before. Like Holland has called them out and like talked shit directly to him. several times before, and like they're both trash talkers, and Holland is more so. Like I have to see that fight before Izzy moves up and before Izzy leaves that division, which he will do in the coming fights. I have to see that fight.
But what do you think? What do you think that matchup? What do you think about that matchup in the styles there, Chris, between Holland and Izzy?
I think Izzy wins. I think he. Yeah. I think he's going to win. But Izzy's bored, man. He's trying to move up to light heavyweight. So there you go. There's your next challenger, man. Take on Kevin Holland. Now,
what I will say, let's Tyrone, you got an opinion on that? How the matchup style wise, how that would work out, or is that something that you would want to see? Because Mark can talk about the trash talk and talk about the, just the wow factor of watching it, but fight wise,
I'd like to see it, but fight wise, I feel like Holland would win that fight wise, just because. I mean, he's just relentless. Like seeing his last 5 fights, how accurate he is, and how much power he has. Like one punch power knockout power. You know what I mean?
I
say
don't get me wrong. I say stuff and for jokes, but like seeing Holland like just go crazy from his back against Souza, like what are you going to do? Is he like I want to see when somebody actually challenges you in that way, like, because you've had the ability so far to control the guy across from you. I want to see what happens when you can't control that person, and that person is going to do what they want to do anyway. Like
it's probably going to be a stand-up fight though, and you have to. I mean. Yeah. You really think Holland's stand-up is better than Izzy's? I don't think so.
Well, it's not that I think it's better than Izzy. Like for me, it's not that I necessarily think it's better than Izzy's. I think it's just, again, Izzy has had the ability to dictate the fight off of his actions against his opponents. From what I've seen from Holland, particularly in this fight, you can't dictate his actions.
No, you can't.
So
his game plan is not going to change based on what you're doing. And this is what I'll say. I think that what makes it an intriguing fight to me is not skill set. I do understand there's a gap. But to me, honestly, I feel like he is the type of person that I don't see Holland changing up his fighting style for Izzy. I don't see him walking into this with fear. He seems like a fighter that has supreme confidence.
Yeah, he knows what he does.
Super comfortable with what he does. And I think that is something that would make Izzy uncomfortable. And for me, as somebody who's a fan or just wants to watch a good fight, I haven't seen Izzy really uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Now, I think that Holland would make him uncomfortable. Now, if that happens, I don't know. Maybe Izzy has the skill sets to where he can fend him off, keep him fought off. He has the skill sets to where he could capitalize, counterpunch. He could, protect himself from takedowns and do all these things. He has all the skill sets. But I just personally want to see what it would look like with Izzy being uncomfortable, how his approach to the fight will be after that. Will he change his approach to the fight? Izzy tends to change, or not change his approach, but he like I said, he's more intent on being a counter puncher, a counter striker, and just fighting defensively. I don't know if that's the right move against somebody like Holland. If he executes like he usually does, he should win that fight. But I don't know. I can't sit here and say that, Holland's going to come in, guns a-blazing. He's going to come in, he's going to take his shots where he sees them, and Izzy's just going to fight him off. I can't definitively say that because I haven't seen Izzy being put in an uncomfortable position, because I'm telling you right now, the type of stuff that I saw from Holland in this fight, just as far as his, I hate using fancy words, but you talk about brashness and moxie. Like he really ain't give a fuck, man. Like I would love to see that fight, man. I think it would be more of a mental game than it would be actual physical game.
So
Yeah, I think that's actually the fight to make, actually, because I mean, looking at Izzy when he came in, Izzy got 4 fights, four to 5 fights in the UFC, and they gave him a title shot. So now you got Holland. He's 5-0 in 1 year. He's done what took Izzy 2 years to do in 1 year, a short span of a year, like 6 months actually. And then he wants to turn around and fight this weekend again. So I would say that
He's
would
wild.
be the fight.
He's crazy.
Yeah. And I have seen Izzy uncomfortable when Yoel Romero popped him. He changed his tactics to just kick and run, kick and run, kick and run, kick and run. So then we were like, okay, well, maybe Yoel was too much for him. Maybe he was avoiding the takedown. He was cautious. He goes in against Paulo Costa, kick and run, kick and run, kick and run. Paulo just stood there and took it, but I ain't seen him mix it up no more after that last hit from Yoel. I don't know what they did, and I don't know if he will mix it up again. I mean, if you can't take Yoel's punches, or if you don't want Paulo's punches, why you move it up to light heavyweight?
right.
I don't that's
All right,
crazy. So that would be the fight to make to me, though.
Yeah. All right. So moving into the next fight, Dern versus Jandiroba. Yanderova, rather. Excuse me. I don't really have much to say about this fight. It was a good fight, but I guess the one takeaway that I really have from this fight is Dern fought through adversity and the broken nose. So that was good to see. There's still a lot of flaws in her game, but
Yeah.
it was nice to see her have that grit to fight through the broken nose.
It was. I felt like she had the Ronda Rousey treatment for a while, but after seeing this fight, I think I'm become a little fan of hers. She was in there. She was brawling. She needs brush up her technique, but it was a good fight. I enjoyed watching.
Right. Chris.
Yes, she did her thing. You know, it was another challenge. It was I believe this girl she was fighting is like a jiu-jitsu world champion, so it was just kind of like another challenge. Obviously if she fought a more high-level striker, it probably would have been a little more dangerous for her. But like you said, she had the broken. Well, I don't know if it was confirmed broken nose, but she got through adversity. It was a good challenge for her. So yeah, that's all I got to say.
All right.
Yeah, I think the girl had 16. She won.
Yeah, 16
most of her fights with 6. Yeah, but I think it was like 14 submissions. That's how she was winning her fights. So yeah, she had way more submission. Her submission record was way higher than Mackenzie Dern's, but it didn't even go to the ground, man. Like really, it was just stand up. So, which was surprising to me.
Basically. Yeah, all her wins rather, except for 2, are from submission, and those are by decision. So, yep, rear naked choke and armbar are her thing. So,
yeah. So for me, I'm gonna keep it brief. The biggest takeaway was, Dern showed that she can stand up. So I mean, definitely it was a different type of fight than I expected. As you said, it was a stand up fight. She got some toughness about her, man, and I like that. I would like to see who she has next on the docket, man.
all right, so moving on, Oliveira versus Ferguson. Now, in this fight, we pretty much got to see Oliveira play with a ragdoll for 3 straight rounds. It's unfortunate because it was someone like Tony Ferguson, who we all respect as a fighter and what he's able to do, but it is what it is. We saw what we saw, and unfortunately, we cannot unsee it. Oliveira pretty much just just picked up a toy and flung it around the room
Dog.
for 3 rounds.
I know that I said earlier that Dos Santos got bullied, but this was even more of a bullying to me. It was bad. Ferguson was basically backpedaling the entire fight. He looked like he just didn't know what to do or what to strategize. He didn't even have time to think about it because he was getting rushed. He was taking shots that he didn't want to take. He was just getting beat in all aspects of the fight. And it looked like he didn't have any answer or any clue what to do.
Hold on, real quick. Just to make sure that I'm not confusing my fights. It was in this fight where, like, he had Ferguson in the armbar, and like,
man, that
his
thing
arm
like it was about to snap, bro. That shit looked
like Ferguson gets all the toughness points.
He showed me something, because I promise you, Mark, when he let up, I was like, his arm ain't gonna go back to the shape that it was before. I promise you, I thought that thing was broken, man. It looked like his forearm was about to pop up out of the top of his skin.
Well, actually, as well, there was 20 seconds left in the round. He's lucky there was only 20 seconds because his arm would have snapped. Yeah,
honestly, I'm surprised he lasted the 20 seconds though. Like, man, kudos to him on that one, because I was like, yo, this man tapping. This man is. You're not. It's a broken arm.
Listen, he had his best Zach Morris impression ever, dog. Motherfucker was saved by the bell for real. Like, that shit. I was like, I'm about to watch this bone pop out. That's crazy. Like, I was literally looking at it like, oh, and then it said ding ding ding. I was like, oh.
I was like, I saw him and I'm like, so he's not gonna tap. I was like, bold strategy, Cotton. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I promise you, in my mind.
Hey, but you know what's funny? You know what's funny? Khabib, according to Daniel Cormier, Khabib would have let him go because, you know, he doesn't want to hurt nobody.
Here we go. Here we go, man. Hey, look, Mark, I'm not gonna lie. I'm telling you, man, as soon as I saw that he wasn't gonna tap, I was like, that thing broken. He just gonna sacrifice his arm for some pride, I guess. Like, all right, cool.
But
Chris,
no, it was tough to watch, man, because I like Tony Ferguson, so it was tough. But you know, he gets beaten badly on the feet by Justin Gaethje, and then he gets beaten badly on the ground by Charles Oliveira. So you have to say, as far as like title contention, that's probably it for him, unfortunately.
That has to be it.
It's a shame. Yeah, it's a shame, but that's gotta be it.
A huge run in order to get that.
Yeah,
back.
Yeah, makes me even more disappointed that we didn't get to see him fight Khabib when we wanted to.
Right.
Because trust and believe, if he would have fought Khabib now, it wouldn't have been pretty. If he was going to show up like this.
Yep.
And I wouldn't have won. I would have hated to see that fight go down that way.
He screwed himself by taking the Gaethje fight.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, yeah, man. It was hard for me to watch Tony get done in like that, and I really think it had to do with the mindset of the Gaethje fight, because Tony Ferguson wasn't doing what Tony Ferguson does, which is forward pressure.
He wasn't.
Fast pace, and I feel that he went back and watched that tape of him and Gaethje to see what he did wrong. Gaethje is just a bull, you know. He's just a bull, so he can take shots, and he won't really put him down. He likes taking shots, and I feel like he felt that maybe his forward pressure put him in some danger against Gaethje, and I think he tried to change that in this fight because he wasn't really moving forward too much. He was backing away. He was not wanting to engage. He was looking for distance, and that's when he was getting taken down. That's when he was getting up against the fence. That's when he was losing the fight. So
I'll say,
I think he's done. I don't know.
I think it's a common mistake that fighters make sometimes when they get to that age or they get to that point of their career where they start to just have a little hint of doubt in their mind. Instead of preparing for this fight, he was preparing for a rematch with Gaethje. Like, that's the problem. Like, you can't take that and say, well, I need to do this better in this next fight. you're fighting somebody completely different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
But that's what happens when you. That's what happens when you have quick turnarounds, thinking you could just do that. Like you don't properly prepare for the guy in front of you. You just take a bit of the same game plan from before instead of properly preparing, which is exactly what happened. But more so, it just Tony's a lack of preparation doesn't explain how he got ragdoll across the ring like that. So
I think the bigger story here is the confidence, the supreme confidence that Oliveira came in with, because we were shocked by the ragdolling, but it seemed like Oliveira came in was like, I know this is what I'm about to do.
Watch his interviews after the fight. He was just like, he was just like, whatever. Yeah, I expected that to happen.
I didn't need to see the interview to know that. He 1,000% showed that he expected that to happen by the way that he came into this fight, man. It was just, I was in shock just because of the display that was put on there. Like, I was just like, yo, he's hunting right now. It's hunting season, and you looking like deer meat. Like,
you saying he came into the ring and said mate in 3 moves?
He came in and said, "You're exposed, my friend. I don't need to expose you. You're already exposed. I'm just coming here to take what I want." Like, that's what it felt like, man. He really did come in with the supreme confidence, and I don't know if that was part of the reason why Ferguson felt like he was just lost in the ring. But like I said, it felt like Ferguson was out there like the Raptors on Jurassic Park and shit, trying to test the fence, but he was taking a bunch of punches while he was doing it, so it wasn't really working, you know.
Maybe maybe Ferguson is a crowd fighter, man. Like, honestly, maybe he needs that crowd, because
maybe
he's fought twice. He's fought twice since this COVID thing, and he's done bad each time. He may need that face off. He may need that presser. He may need all that stuff to just get in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
I like that. Yeah. Have to pay attention to that.
I mean, Conor McGregor already said to himself, like, I'm not going to be a quarantine fighter. I need that crowd. I need that energy. He's already said it, you know, and that's why he's kind of looked the way he's not been around. But I think he's asking for a fight now. But then he wants to fight in Texas, so he can have that crowd. So it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So finally, we get to the fight of the evening. Figueiredo versus Moreno. Now listen, man. I'm just gonna say this. Me personally, actually, you know what? I'm gonna kick it to you guys first. Let you get yours off. I'm gonna start with the question of, Chris, do you feel like, regardless of the fact that the draw is fair, because the draw is fair, so I don't want to hear, well, yes, the draw is fair. I want to hear your true thoughts. Who do you think won? If you have to pick somebody, which I'm telling you to do, who do you think won?
Yeah. So honestly, I would have to watch it again, but just based on the fact that Figueiredo was walking him down basically the entire fight, yeah, he was standing up to it, but the fact that he was getting backed up the entire fight, I'd have to say Figueiredo. Yeah.
Okay. I have a rebuttal to that, but okay. Tyrone?
I'm gonna say Moreno won. I mean, Figueiredo had ring control. That's only one aspect of controlling the fight, but he rocked him. You know what I mean? Moreno rocked him. He'd get punched. He'd counter back with 4-punch combinations.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna say Moreno won by a hair, maybe even by that point deduction.
Fair. I do have a thought about the point deduction as well. Shawn?
This is what I'll say. Okay, because I'm about to speak about the point deduction. If that doesn't happen, I personally have Moreno losing the fight. But the point deduction happened. Because of the point deduction, I personally feel like Moreno should have won the fight. I felt like I don't know how you guys felt about the third. I felt like that was the turning point to where Moreno started to be the aggressor. But it was later in the round. I feel like Moreno took slightly too long to try to step up his aggressiveness. But with that said, there was the point deduction. I personally feel once the point deduction happened, he should have won the third round.
Okay.
So there we go. That's what I have. I have Moreno winning the fight just off of the point deduction.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna share my thoughts, and now we're going to get into the shit because here's my thought, man. Moreno won that fight in my opinion. The reason being is Chris, you spoke of ring control, and you guys both spoke of the point deduction and stuff. Now here's 1,000%. I'm gonna just give you my round by round breakdown. Round one, easily Figueiredo. Like, he definitely won that round. Round two was more of a draw, but if you want to give it to Figueiredo, I understand. Round three, in my opinion, that's a 10-8 round. Like, because of the fact Moreno not only was standing in, exchanging the blows and making a controlled back, like he was under control while backing up. Like, he wasn't like backing up like to escape. Like, he was under control and knowing what his next move was while backing up. And not only that, but he, due to the takedowns, which Figueiredo wasn't able to accomplish until the last round. So I give that round to Moreno even without the point deduction. So with the point deduction, that would make that a 10-8 round for me. And then round four, again, Moreno, I feel as though he controlled that round due to another takedown in which he was in control. Actually, he had two takedowns in that round, I believe, in which he was in control. Let me check. Yeah, so, and in the fifth and final round, I give to Moreno simply because Figueiredo, the role switched. It went from Figueiredo walking him down to Moreno now being in control. And it wasn't like Moreno was on some super aggressive attack. It was for Figueiredo was just backing up because he didn't want to get hit no more. Like, he went from wanting to exchange these blows to now taking a more defensive stance because the fight was taking its toll on him. And Moreno I felt
like he was a little bit gassed, and you're right. I felt he was a little bit gassed, and he didn't want to take those hits.
Yeah, like Moreno was still coming, and he had the takedown, but even in Figueiredo's takedown, like it was just different than when Figueiredo went down. When Moreno went down, he immediately went to switch. Like, he's immediately like not allowing Figueiredo to get in any sort of position. Like, he's constantly trying to exchange positioning to get out. Like, so I never felt that Figueiredo had true control over Moreno at any point when they were on the ground. So in the fifth, I have to still give it to Moreno simply because of the role switching in that round, and Figueiredo like going to a more defensive way of fighting, which was juxtaposed from the way he conducted himself in the last four rounds. You like that word, juxtapose?
I mean, just because you throw fancy words out there, I mean, it doesn't mean that Moreno won the fight, motherfucker. Like, I don't know why you throw all the words out there. Juxtapose. I mean, you can throw whatever smoke and mirrors you want out there.
It's not smoke.
But I personally just believe that what Moreno was doing in the third was too little, too late. He was saved by the point deduction. That's what I mean. I don't know. I'm saying that's my opinion. Tyrone, Chris, either one of y'all want to speak about y'all opinion on the third round?
I had Moreno.
I mean, as far as what Mark is saying, Mark feels like Moreno won the third regardless of the point deduction, and he felt like the reasoning was because even though he might have been getting that Figueiredo might have been the aggressor, he was defending himself so well while backing up that he gave it to him.
Yeah, he was defending himself well, making a mess, and he was landing shots.
Let's not forget the takedowns as well in that round.
Yeah, I would say that that was the turning point, and I felt that Moreno won the fight. Not because of the point, because of the point deduction. I feel like if the point deduction wasn't there, it should have been a draw. And I feel like because the point deduction was there, Moreno should have won. Okay, if that makes sense. And
yes,
but I feel like if Moreno had just threw more, I don't know if you heard him, but at the post fight interview, he said his shoulder was a little hurt.
Yeah, he needed to throw more in the fifth.
Punches. If he had did more in the fifth round, I feel that Moreno, it wouldn't have been a draw.
Like, they would have had to give it to Moreno if he threw more in the fifth. Like, and it was a question of, did he break his arm blocking that kick because of his lack of throwing? But he threw. But it makes sense because he started throwing again. Basically, he threw his arm out, lost feeling in it for half a second, and then feeling started to come back. He started throwing again. Like, so
he got a little stinger, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, basically he took it.
That's it.
Yeah, he had a little stinger in his shoulder, he lost feeling, and then when the feeling came back, he started throwing again. But had he been able to continue to throw, they would have had to give him the fifth.
Yeah, look, man. I like I said, I have to watch it again. But I was enjoying it so much, I just didn't even care, man. I was like, yo, whoever wins this, I'm cool with it, man, because that was a great fight. I want to see it again. So either way, man, I'm good with it.
Yeah. Speaking of toughness, Mark, Moreno, the toughness that I saw from him, because some of the shit he was taking in the first two rounds.
Yeah,
like for him to still have the energy that he had in the fourth and the fifth rounds seems a little crazy to me.
Listen, you keep trying to discount that third, but I need you to go ahead and put on some glasses, dog. Moreno won that third. Man,
sometimes you just gotta agree to disagree, brother.
Looking at the numbers, Moreno should have won that fight. I'm looking at the strike percentages, and he landed way more strikes. He got more takedowns, and he was in control of that fight for 1 minute and 18 seconds.
Exactly.
On the ground, and Figueiredo was only 55. So looking at the percentages and the strikes landed, takedown percentages, body shots, headshots, 118 headshots landed on Figueiredo out of 227 headshots landed. So
the thing about fighting, it's round by round.
Yeah,
that's the problem. You know what I mean?
But here's the problem. Again, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to get into this argument with you.
No, that's
just
fine.
You just go rewatch the third. I'm gonna have
to rewatch the third, man. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if I'm wrong, I'll come back and apologize. Like, I ain't got no problems saying I'm wrong. But with that said, I just want to make it very clear. I don't know how the rest of you guys are, but I am straight up. I am not a person who is a fan of or believes in well, you gotta beat the champ to be the champ thing. Well, if it's a draw, I'm just gonna lean towards the champ side. Well, I am 1,000% against that. I don't believe it should exist.
I believe. I believe it exists. I believe you gotta beat the champ to be the champ to a degree, like, because I don't feel as though you could, like, going up against the champ, you should go in there trying to win off of points. Like, you should go in there like, I'm a pop shots and then I'm a run around for the fight. Like, no, No, that's what they mean. That's what they mean by you got to beat the champ. But
what I'm saying is what you should do and what actually wins you the points is two different things. Yeah, I just hate the fact that judges will look at it and be like, technically, yeah, you won the round, but we don't want to give it to you because of the manner and fashion in which you won it. Like that, the manner and fashion in which you won it shouldn't matter. If you won it, you won it. Right. It's just like this. I will harken back to the Shogun Machida fight, where the judges were just like, well, all you did was sit back and leg kick. We're not going to give you that. It was like, yeah, but he dominated him. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, because he wasn't aggressive enough, they didn't want to give him the fight. Well, that's the type of shit that I don't like. Like,
well, I guess let me put it for me, it's not so much points as it is effectiveness. If you're leg kicking and this person is just walking through your leg kicks and they're coming and you're just running like and they're basically taps to this person, now there's an issue of what you're doing effective. And if it's not effective, then like, what am I rewarding you for?
If it's effectively stopping the other person from striking you, then that's effective.
That's what I'm saying. It's not effective if they're walking through it. It's like, but you're talking if it's stopped. No, but if it is stopping, what I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah,
it's like because you can't stop me if I'm walking through it.
What I'm saying is
that's the only way it's gonna.
What I'm saying is obviously I'm slowing you down to some degree if I'm landing more than you're landing. Maybe it's not hurting you.
No, see, that's not what I'm saying. Because if there's a lot of people that you could throw a jab and they're still going to keep punching. That's let you know your jab is completely ineffective. It doesn't mean shit to that person. But there's also people that'll throw a jab and then you have to pause. Like that's two different exchanges.
Okay,
it's not the same.
No, I feel you. I agree. Yeah. So, but yeah, like I said, but to me, the point system is the point system, and you shouldn't be changing the points awarded based on whether or not you like what you saw.
Well, let me ask you that. I mean, I'm gonna use an extreme here, but if a 5-year-old kept kicking you and running away, am I going to say that 5-year-old beat your ass?
He won the fight if I ain't hit him.
Okay, so that's how. That's how you operate.
That's how I operate. Like, I don't. If I hit him once and I lay him out, or they can say even if he gets back up, then guess who won that fight? I did. But that's different. That's what I'm saying. Like you talk about effectiveness. That's also right. Like I believe in who's effective and who's not, but that should be that's part of the point system already. You know what I'm saying? All the things combined, the ring control, the who's the impressive takedowns, like punches landed and you know, like how hard you hitting. All that shit is all in there already for that reason. I just hate to see judges who will see it'll be edged to one person in that direction, and they'll just call it a draw. Or they'll say, you know what I'm saying? They'll do anything but call the champ the loser. It's almost like the Floyd Mayweather shit. Like Mayweather fights. People don't like the way that Mayweather fights, and they just they get mad at it. They say that they shouldn't be scored the way it should be. Look, he didn't create the point system. He just takes advantage of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I thought I'd just say this. That one judge that had it 48-46, I would love to know what he was smoking. Because Doug,
even with a point deduction he had at 48-46, that's wild.
Exactly. Like that's like, what fight were you watching that this dude had a point deduction and you still have it?
So you saying he lost one round? What do you like? What? Tell me how this adds up, Mark. I
don't understand it. Like, that's a weird, it's a weird way. Like, I don't get it. Like, but it is what it is. So that's it for the UFC stuff. got it done in decent timing, I would say. So let's get into oh, one last thing that I did want to talk about. I want to talk about in fighting. I wanted to talk, but this is more so do with referee conversation. Moicano, this was in the prelims of the of UFC 256. Moicano versus Fiziev. Is that correct? It doesn't matter.
Sure.
But
Gotcha.
But anyway, they in that fight, Fiziev knocked down Moicano, and as soon as Fiziev went to mount Moicano, Moicano immediately was moving into defensive positioning. But the referee never gave him a chance to defend himself because he called the fight right then and there. Now, I want to address this part with Chris first because in pre-production, Chris expressed that he disagrees, that he believes that that was a fair stoppage, while I, on the other hand, do not believe that that was a fair stoppage. So, Chris, please share.
Well, there's a few things. Hopefully, I remember all of these, but it depends what the referee probably puts the most stock on, right? So he goes down violently, which he did, right? So yeah, like he did respond when he tried to grab him. He was moving and stuff like that, but at the same time, I heard after the fight when he got up, he was stumbling around. So obviously dude's hurt, isn't he? So at that point, is the referee thinking, when he sees him go down violently like that as well, is he trying to save him from further damage? Because, if Moicano goes down, he starts getting hit a few more times. What kind of damage does that do to him? So it's just kind of like in boxing as well, when guys go down violently, sometimes the referee will stop it, sometimes the referee will give him a chance. So it just kind of depends, like what does the referee put the most kind of stock on? Like what does he think is the most important thing to go after, sort of thing.
But
if you know what I'm saying.
Okay, this is go ahead, Mark.
No, go ahead.
What I was gonna say is, I mean, let's keep it a buck right now, man. If this was a title fight and not a preliminary fight, they wouldn't have stopped this fight this early.
Correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's my problem. Me and Mark have conversations all the time about refs, like even in the NBA, where it's like, well, this is a foul in the regular season, but this ain't a foul in the playoffs. The rules change. Like it should just be gauged across the board the same. It's like you're affording a person, a contender fighting for the title, or a champion fighting for the title, you're affording them a chance that you're not affording every other fighter in the UFC. And for me, the way that they ref the title fights is the way that I want them to ref all the fights. That right there. And Chris, the issue that I have with it is I've seen a lot of UFC fights, and I've seen some early stoppages. And even in most early stoppages,
remember Herb used to have a big problem with that, with early stoppages.
Yeah. Well, say even with most early stoppage, like usually there's at least one or two hits landed. There was no hits landed. He jumped on top of him, and they was like, stop, like, and he's still conscious. Usually, if somebody violently goes down and they just stop it right there, it's because they're already unconscious before they hit the mat. He was still conscious. He hit the mat. His head was up off of the mat. I just watched the replay again. His head was up off the mat. His arms were out. Like he hit the mat. He did hit the mat violently, but he clearly was putting his legs up. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't out. He still had a chance to defend himself. And usually when you see that situation play out where they're trying to just stop it before anything gets crazy, usually you see the person falling to the mat And like before the person even hits the mat, the other guy's already coming down trying to land a punch while they're mounting him. He didn't even try to do that. It looked like he was gonna go for an elbow, but he didn't. He just kind of jumped on top of him. You know what I'm saying? Like if he was like trying to land a bunch of punches while he was on his way down to go mount him, then I could say, okay, yes, you could already see the punches coming. This dude is already not in a good spot. But I felt like with him being conscious and then no punches or strikes being thrown yet, that they should not have stopped that fight.
Yeah. The big thing for me is the fact that at no point in that knockdown did he go limp. Like, so
that's what I'm saying. He's still fully conscious.
Yeah, like, so it was just like he went down from a hard hit, not he went down because he got knocked out for a half a second. Like, he got hit hard and he fell. Like, that happens.
Yeah, but then you could say, did the referee save his ass from further damagement? You know,
well, but that's what I'm saying. I can't say that the referee saved his ass because the motherfucker had his legs up, ready to fight. He was ready to keep going.
Okay, like, here's an opinion for you, Chris.
Like, hold on, one more second. Like, Chris, like, here's the problem. Like, you can't make UFC civilized. This isn't a civilized sport. Like, so don't be like, oh, this is too violent. No, this is what they fucking do. Like, they're stepping in the ring to punch each other in the face. Like, you have to let that play out a little bit longer than him just taking one violent shot. Like,
okay. Yeah, so
like you can't make an uncivilized event civilized. Sorry.
So two things for me. I've seen too many fights where people's head is getting bounced off the canvas at least twice. Boom, boom, while they're unconscious before they call it, right? I've seen that too many times. Nobody ever has a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? Don't have a problem with it now. And then the other thing is, once again, the man just never got a chance to defend himself. Do I believe that he still would have got him up out of there? Yes. Because even though he wasn't out, he was visibly stunned. He mounted him quick enough, even though I thought he didn't throw any blows quick enough, he mounted it quick enough to where he would have got him out of there anyway. But as a ref, your job isn't to anticipate the blows. Your job is to judge when the blows are enough. And I felt like the blows weren't enough. I felt like I feel like he was trying to save him. It's almost like he knew that he was going to be gone. But you can't do that. You have to let it play out. I mean, we've seen too many fights over the years where you thought people was done. We've seen fights on this card where we thought people was done. You can't just call the fight. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is. Like you can't just call the fight like that without it actually being done. I thought what happened was they anticipated him being done the same way that I anticipated him being done. And instead of letting them get those couple of shots off, he just said, fuck it. We're ending it, you know? Right. Like I said, it's the biggest issue I have with it is you're robbing the person that's on the mat. You're robbing the person on the mat the chance to defend themselves. The whole point of stopping is when they show that they cannot defend themselves. He never even got an opportunity to show that he can't.
Right. And Moicano, as soon as the fight stopped, Moicano, granted, fighters are going to do that anyway, but Moicano wasn't looking around dazed at all. He was like, what the fuck, bro? Like, yeah. I'm fighting. He was like, I am fighting right now. Like, so it's a little bit different. Tyrone, you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, man. I think a lot of referee stoppages are early because I'm a fan of the old school where they like let you beat them almost to death. But
hey, like I said, that head bouncing off the canvas is what I'm used to seeing, man.
Yeah, it's like I believe that old rules back in the day were no more movement. But I understand you're trying to save, you're trying to make longevity and stuff like that. And nobody, if you're not conscious. But
that was savage. But that's
that was an early stoppage. And I'm only that way because, man, I've seen so many fights that, the guy
Come back.
good and he could come back, and the referees like
that's what
Mario
I'm saying.
Yamasaki is like notorious for that. Like Herb Dean, like anytime Herb Dean is refereeing,
exactly.
I'm like, oh my God, like here we go. This fight's already over. If he takes a deep breath, he's gonna stop the fight.
Imagine if boxing was the same way, man. You would have never got to see the Tyson Fury Undertaker moment.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you would have never got to see that.
Right.
So yeah, it's nuts, man. So yeah, it was a little early for me. I mean, I know he's trying to protect the fighter, but I mean, he a lot of these guys want to go out on their shield anyway. So,
but the thing is, people will say, so many people say protect the fighter, then so many people say, well, no, let the fight go on. So it's like, which one is it, man? Like there's so many opinions. Like, how do you standardize it across the board?
Well, that's the
like
thing.
I said, the rule, from what I understand, is once the fighter shows that they cannot properly defend themselves.
Okay.
That's what I thought the general rule of thumb was. Like that was already.
That's what I thought it was as well.
You know what I'm saying? And I felt like that's not what happened. So and I do understand what your point, Chris. I do understand your point. But to that point, the refs. This is the reason why they usually hire former fighters to ref, because they're supposed to know when, like it's the best thing for them to do is have foreign fighters ref, because they'll be able to tell you, hey man, I've come back from that situation. I'm not going to call it yet. You know what I'm saying? Like they should know. What I'm saying is, usually UFC refs are better than any other refs in any other sports, to my opinion. And I think part of it is because they hire former fighters, but this is one of those situations where I honestly, Chris, I'm gonna ask you, because in my opinion, I've maybe seen 2 or 3 fights stop this early. I can't recall the last time I saw a fight stop this early.
But
No, it's happened before. I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I've seen a lot of early stoppages. Trust me.
I've seen early stoppages, but not this early. Like dude hitting the mat, no blows thrown. He's still conscious. I don't know if I've seen that.
I've seen early and late. Like you remember Jose Aldo fighting Peter Yan? He was
Yeah, exactly, man.
Jose Aldo must have owed him some money or something because he was going to die.
But yes, there has to be a happy medium. I'm not asking for that. There has to be a happy medium, and I feel like he was way off from hitting the medium.
right.
I guess you can have extremes. I guess you can have extreme early stoppage, and you got like he's almost dead. Like,
No, I've seen some people I've seen some people like just take like 5 hits after they are already unconscious. I've seen some shit, but like no. There's got to be some happy medium between 5 hits after they're unconscious and no hits while they're still conscious. There has to be a medium. Yeah.
All right. So the reason why I brought that particular thing up is because I wanted to have a conversation, or more so, yeah, I guess the conversation is, what can we do across all sports? There's always questionable decisions by refs, or things that just are egregiously missed. For instance, the New Orleans Saints versus the Rams in the playoffs, where that was clear pass interference. In fact, it was egregious pass interference, but somehow not called. Or things that happen in the NBA where like there's petty calls and stuff like that. So I was sitting there thinking about it, and I figured, rather than docking, because everybody likes to think, well, the first thing you could do is penalize these refs in some way for missing these egregious calls or whatever, blah blah blah. But like, that's a dangerous game to play. And I just thought about it, like, what if we did it to the flip side of that, where there was a referee bonus system? Like, you're going to get your pay regardless of how you perform as a ref on this evening. You're going to get your pay, but dependent on like your the plays you miss, how egregious it is, or whatever system they decide to bring up, like that you will miss out on your bonus for that game. Like they can have a bonus system that you can earn for calling a good game. So that way you incentivize these referees to go to the replay when viable, and also to put, like, for instance, in football, like, to pick, instead of just leaving the flag out there and just being like, well, I called it, so it is what it is, being willing to actually pick up the flag if another ref comes over and says, nah, that ain't right, like this happened or whatever. Because we've seen it in football where it's like, well, I already threw the flag, so we're just going to give them the penalty anyway, where it was like, no, that really wasn't a penalty, you're just refusing to go back. So I figured a bonus system where if you don't call a good game, you don't get a bonus, and if you do, you get a bonus. That, like, it's just that simple. That something like that would incentivize referees to do a better job. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so I forget who said it, but somebody was saying that MMA referees should have to go to the post-fight press conference and talk about why they made certain decisions, just to kind of make them more accountable. So I think something like that would be pretty good as well, just to kind of just to get an idea of what they're thinking. Like, why did that guy why did he stop the Moicano fight early? You know, like what was his reasoning? So I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, that would be an excellent idea as well.
Oh,
I actually kind of like that a little bit more, because then it helps the fan and helps the audience understand the psyche of the referee and what goes into their decision making. Go ahead, Shawn.
Oh, okay. So I do like that idea, but to me, I think they should start out with something like what the NFL does. They have the NBA took it on after a while too, where they have a ref there as part of the broadcast crew, and whenever there's a penalty that comes, or whenever they're discussing a play, you have a retired referee in the booth that's saying, hey, this is what I would do in this situation. This is probably what they're doing. This is what they're considering. If the play goes this way, this is what they saw. If the play goes this way, this is what they thought. Like, I think that's the way to ease it into that situation, Chris, so that you're not just immediately putting refs on the spot, because they're going to feel like, hey, man, you're putting me on the spot to get judged by the world, and I have a tough job to do. You know, it's a lot of things are bang, bang. As much as I'm sitting here saying that that call was bad on that UFC fight, if for whatever reason at the angle that he was at, he thought that whatever his name is, Fiziev or whatever his name is, if he thought that he actually landed a strike, even though he didn't, if he thought that he landed a strike, that's a bang bang thing that he can't really see. You know what I'm saying? Guys don't want to be put on the spot for bang bang plays and them making a decision instead of making an indecision. You know, they don't want to be put on the spot for that type of stuff. So at the very least, they should take on what the NFL has made popular, which is having some type of retired ref or somebody like that in the booth. But for Mark, to your point, what I would like to add to what you're talking about with the referees bonus is just to give a little background. For me, at my current job, we get a bonus for not getting write-ups, not getting QA fails. Also, our FMC rate, which obviously for you guys aren't familiar with that, but basically we fix planes. As long as the problem doesn't come back, we fix it right the first time. We do that all year or all quarter. We get a bonus for it, quarterly bonus, right? It's not individually; it's a team thing. Everybody in the contract has to do it. They take the whole contract's numbers percentage wise, and then they give us our bonus accordingly. They also take into account how many days you worked, and they prorate it. You know what I mean? Now, with that said, what I would like to see is, yes, there should be a bonus. I think that's a fantastic idea. But to prevent, because we all feel like, everybody always feels like there's a little bit of corruption when it comes to the referees. The Rams-Saints game, there's no other reason for somebody to miss that call blatantly while they're staring at it, other than they got money on the game. That's how I feel. That's all speculation, but that's how I feel. If I'm giving bonuses, but the bonuses that I'm giving aren't enough to be more than what this person might be making on a side bet, you know what I mean, then I'm going to run into a problem. So for accountability purposes, I would make it to where the ref's bonus comes as a team. You ref this game, everybody on that team is based on the totality. So that way you don't have the rogue guy who might be the field judge, who knows, but you don't want a rogue guy saying, I don't care what's going on, I don't care about y'all bonuses, I'm doing whatever I want to do because I got side bets. Make it a team thing. Everybody, make the refs hold each other accountable, because that's what happens to us at work. We're looking at people crazy if they start trying to do some shady stuff,
Right. Okay. Tyrone?
Yeah, I like the idea of I'm not gonna say give him any more money, but I like the idea of having to explain why they made the call. You know what I mean? Because it could be something that you got to understand. I like watching UFC fights on TV because I get all the angles. I get instant replay, all the angles. I get the commentator telling me exactly what happens. I can go to the kitchen and get something out the refrigerator, and I still know what's going on. I still know who's in control. If you've ever been to a UFC fight, you get one angle, right? One angle. What's happening, you may not see if your vision's blocked, skewed, or whatever. Same thing goes in person. You don't have 8 cameras just switching to the best angle. Should the fighter's head get in the way, it goes to the other angle. They even got aerial cameras where you can see it from the top and they can zoom in and all those other stuff. That's not human vision. So it really depends on what the referee saw. Was his vision blocked? Did he see something he really didn't see? And stuff like that. So it is a hard job, but fighter safety is important. You don't even know if this referee was like friends with the guy that he tried to help out. Like, I didn't want to see you hurt, man. Something like that. But yeah, having to explain yourself, just like the fighters do. The fighters have to go post fight interview. They explain what they did. And, look at the big screen and walk us through what you did. It would be nice to see the referee so you can kind of get their perspective and you can get an understanding of like, oh, okay, I see based off where he was standing, he saw this and that's why he made the decision he made. So,
right.
Okay, so all these ideas, I love them. I love them all. The honest truth, we're probably never going to see the level of accountability that we're talking about in the form of just having them answer questions. The reason why we have to incentivize it is because they have a union. And the union is going to protect them at all costs. You see how it is. NBA, you can't even say that the ref got the call wrong in a post-game interview because you get fined. So it's and that's set up that way because of the unions. So like the unions are not going to let them be put on the spot like that at all. Okay. So the only way to get something to pass like that would be to incentivize it. So I think, even though, granted, don't get it wrong, I love the idea of saying the media gets to ask whatever questions they want about the calls, especially if it's a bad call, like just any call. They get to ask the questions and you have to stand in front of the audience and explain. I would love that. That's what everybody wants. We're probably not going to be able to get that. So what I will take is incentivizing it in a way to where it causes the refs to hold each other accountable and for them to hold themselves accountable.
Yeah. Well, with that, all right. don't need to stay there. But with that being said, we're going to move on to football, and we're going to move on to a player that needs to be held accountable. One, Josh Jacobs. Joshua Jacobs. He took to his Instagram to pull off an April Fool's joke, and it's not April. He this fool, luckily I don't have him, but he went on his Instagram and told everyone, "Hey, I'm in the lineup today, but I'm not playing. Sorry, just letting you know in advance." And so everybody that pays attention to his Instagram, and follows him, they have him in their fantasy football lineup. They scrambled to put another guy in their fantasy football lineup, and lo and behold, who takes the first run on the very first snap? One, Joshua Jacobs, and for a lot of people, he lost them their fantasy football matchup in the playoffs, because this was the first playoff matchup week for a lot of fantasy football leagues. I guess my question to you guys is, was this a dick move? Anyone can go first. It doesn't matter.
I want to let somebody else go first because I'm about to touch on some angles here.
I want to say, no, it's not.
I said, Tyrone's just a savage. You can't ask him nothing, man.
No, it's not. It's not. I don't know, man. Like, I'm not into fantasy football, so I don't know what's at stake. You know what I mean? I think he was somebody, I was reading the comments they were leaving behind. I guess he.
I'm sure he was getting death threats.
Yeah, he left he lost a guy like a $5,000 like something, like I guess if he had scored so many points, he would have won a competition, got $5,000 or something.
Yeah, the league itself, the league pool for winning is would have been like $5,000.
Yeah. So he lost that.
Okay.
And now what was the dick move was when he responded back. It was like, oh well, fuck your fantasy. With the middle finger.
That's a wild statement, bro. Like,
yeah. So he was like,
okay.
But just a joke. I don't think it was crazy. Too much. I mean.
All right. Well, in terms that you'll understand, Tyrone, let's say a fighter that you were betting on was leaking information like, oh, my knee is fucked up. My knee is fucked up. Blah, 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 blah. And then he went into the fight and you bet on the other guy because he kept saying my knee is fucked up.
Yeah, this motherfucker's in the ring doing spinning back kicks and shit. And you like, yo, what the fuck happened to your knee? Like,
see, that's real money though. Like the fantasy.
See, there's money in fantasy football.
There's real money in fantasy football.
Dog, hey. The reason why the pot is 5,000 is because everybody paid into the pot. Like,
okay,
nah, man. Like, okay. You know what, Tyrone? Tyrone, you work on a totally different. You live in a different world than the rest of us. It's a fucking joke.
Like I said, maybe I understand because I don't play fantasy football, so I was like, man, it's just a game. It was like a little, I don't want to offend nobody, but I was like, it's like a little card, like a magic game with the cards, right? Like, you get the points, bracket points. But now that you explained it, that it's money involved, I can see. It's kind of like I made some bets with Tony Ferguson, and he let me down, and I felt really bad about it. I wanted to go to his Facebook and let him know.
I was gonna say, like, as Chris would call it, he would just call it nerd shit. So, I mean,
so answer me this, right? So Jacobs didn't even play well. So who cares if he's not in your team? Like, I don't understand that.
But the fact of the matter is that someone that you could find at the last second is probably going to, regardless of whether he played well or not, is still
going to be worse option
than he was.
Yeah, they would have performed worse than what he even did.
Okay. And for some people, like one person started Ty Gurley instead of Josh Jacobs, and Ty Gurley did not have a good day at all. So, like,
Some people, and I'm gonna venture to say that some people there's some people desperate enough that they probably dropped him off their team. You know what I mean? Like, this is the type of stuff that happens. So I'm just gonna jump right into it because there's an angle that we're not talking about here. This is exactly the type of shit that the NFL doesn't want. And what I mean by that is Josh Jacobs is doing this, right? Some might see it as a joke. Some might only see the fantasy football implications. But this clearly has Vegas betting implications. What team does he happen to play for? The Las Vegas Raiders? So you mean to tell me this fool is in Las Vegas, right? This is the reason why major sports don't want teams in Las Vegas, because they're afraid of players doing things that's going to look like they're influenced by the betting world. And yes, he might play it off and say it's a joke. He might say all these things, but the real reality of the situation is if there was anybody that's in his camp or his circle that knew that he was doing this intentionally and knew that he was starting anyway, somebody could have possibly won some money, big money in Vegas based on this. That's insider trading. This is the type of shit that the NFL doesn't want. A player on the Las Vegas Raiders doing something like this that upsets the betting world. All it takes is for one person to call it out and say, "Yo, what are the chances that this dude has some type of betting nonsense going on?" Because to be honest with you, I mean, at this point, I mean, could you be upset at anybody that suggested at this point? No, you really can't. Like, that's what I'm saying. So, like, it's bigger than just a joke. It's bigger than just fantasy football at this point. Now you're talking about a Las Vegas team with a player on it that may or may not be involved in some type of a betting scandal, because that's what it can turn into if people take it as more than just a joke. So that's where I'm at with it. So, like, do I think that that's what happened? I don't know. I'm not going to jump out that window. But if anybody says that that's what they think, I can't even fault them for it. That's the problem that I have with what he did, is even if he didn't do it because of those reasons, it looks like it, and somebody can go down that road. Vegas just got a team. Like I said. So that's the issue I have with it. Yes, it makes them an asshole. Absolutely. Especially if anybody had money on the game. What you guys are also forgetting is there's bets. Like, how many rushing yards will this person get? Who will get the first rushing touchdown in the game? There's prop bets that involve individual players. So I'm sure that maybe upset the balance of the prop bets. There was probably, who knows, somewhere in the world, there's probably a prop bet on whether or not he was actually going to start. You see what I'm saying? Like, all this shit is crazy, man.
No, 1,000%, man. My thing about this for Josh Jacobs is the fact that people got this from your Instagram, right? So, like, outside, so essentially what you're doing is the people that follow you on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, for the most part are your fans. They are the people that are championing you,
they support
you. Yeah, they're your supporters, and you're being an asshole for a joke to the people that want to see you do great. Like, that's my biggest issue with it, because the random person that has you on their fantasy football team but doesn't follow you on Instagram because they're not a fan of you like that, or they really don't care like that, they are unaffected by what you did because they didn't see it. The person that saw it is the person that is watching your moves in support of you, and that's what they saw. And and they went off your word, and you like screwed them over, and then after you screwed them over, you didn't, it was like, oh my bad, that was a bad joke. You was like, fuck you, live your life.
Fuck your $5,000 is a wild statement, dog. That's like coming from somebody that's making millions. Fuck your $5,000 to a regular human being is a pretty wild statement.
Right.
That's what I'll say. That's what I'll say, man. Like right now, I was about to get upset at Lamar Jackson because he wasn't throwing to Mark Andrews enough in a game, and luckily it ended up happening on the very last drive of that crazy game. But motherfucker, like, I was mad, and this shit is only $300 on the line. Like,
Right.
like I can't imagine what kind of venom I would have for this person if $5,000 was on the line. And for him to say, fuck your 5,000, now we're running into the realm of fans coming to see you. Like,
Yeah.
like this is how players get themselves in trouble. Like,
All right.
this is how people end up in fights in the nightclubs and shit. You know what I mean?
So, all right. So next topic in football was, the great game in which the Cleveland Browns versus the Baltimore Ravens. Basically, the game 47-42, and basically what we saw here today, what we saw in this game was a return to form for Lamar Jackson, man. Lamar Jackson, who has been putting tremendous emphasis on the pass for majority of the season, has finally decided that his wide receivers are trash, and that's enough of that. Because he did what he did last year, which was, I'm a throw, and I'm gonna try to make this throw work, but if it's open, I'm gonna run. And man, did it work to great effect in this game. He did his thing, man. It was nice to see Lamar return to form. So, you guys have any thoughts on that? Seeing Lamar finally deciding that his wide receivers aren't up to snuff.
That dude can move, man. Like, he can. He's just ridiculous. That's he's a freak athlete. That's all I'm gonna say, man. He's ridiculous.
Okay, yeah, I have some things to say about it, Mark. And there's a couple things I'm going to point out, because it's not just a Lamar Jackson thing; it's a Baltimore Ravens thing. And this is the thing. I understand if you want a guy to pass more because it's going to positively affect the team more if they were able to pass more effectively or pass more in general. I've seen a lot of teams that were led by Michael Vick that I personally felt like, yes, he is fantastic when he takes off running. It is great in the games. If he can run for 200 yards in a game, run for 200 yards. You know what I'm saying? But there's other games where he's taking off, he's fumbling, he's only going to get 60 yards, and it's like, I wish he would throw more. That's how I felt watching Michael Vick. I can understand if that's the case, where it's like, if you just threw a little bit more, then it would positively affect the team and the offense in a way to where we have a better chance to win games. Mm-hmm. I never felt like that about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens coming into this season. Their entire team was built around what he does best. So the one stat that I want to point out here is you have the Baltimore you have the Baltimore Ravens offense. They ran the ball crazy this week, right? I'm talking about to the tune of, I think they got to like 300 yards. Is that what they got to? I'm trying to bring it up here, but there it is. Ravens, Browns. Okay, they've been struggling. Mark Ingram's been struggling he struggled all year. Gus Edwards hasn't been looking like he did last year. He's been struggling too. J.K. Dobbins, he's been doing the best out of all of them, if you ask me, with what he's given. But I also feel like he could do better. In this game, Lamar Jackson had 9 carries for 124 yards, 13.8 yards per carry. J.K. Dobbins had 13 for 53 for 4.1. Gus Edwards had 7 for 49 for 7 yards per carry. As a team, they had 32 carries for 231 yards, but the average is 7.2. They haven't had an average this high the entire year. This is the first time that I've seen anybody average 7 yards a carry outside of Lamar Jackson. What I'm saying is that what he did in this game, it opened up everything for the run game, which is what this is the reason why they have 3 running backs. Because of what they did last year, they're like, no, we want to run the ball and run the ball and run the ball. People look at it as Lamar Jackson running the ball was opening up the passing game, which it does. Sometimes the passes are going to get dropped, right?
Mm-hmm.
Receivers ain't going to be up to snuff. Guess what? Fortunately, the way the offense is set up on this team with them running multiple tight end sets, him taking off and running also opens up the runs. That slight hesitation for the linebackers when it comes to handing off to the running back gives the running back a better chance of getting yards because they're hesitating because they don't know if Lamar's going to keep it and take off. So him taking off the way he did in this game opened it up for somebody like Gus Edwards to get 7 yards a carry. It affects the entire team in a positive way. Granted, they barely squeaked this out. The defense gave up too much. It is what it is. But the offense hasn't looked this good all year long, regardless of the fact that, Lamar Jackson was 11 for 17 for 163 yards. It looked pretty sluggish through the air for most of the game until the last few drives in the fourth quarter.
Mind you, it looks so sluggish because Hollywood Brown sucks and can't catch nothing.
He's trash. I'm not gonna fight you on that. But
I think he had 5 drops in that game alone.
Yeah, something like that. This is what I'll say, Mark. The thing is, this gives them a better chance to win. This gives them a better chance of clock control. This obviously, they have a better chance of scoring points on the ground than they do through the air. So not only does it give you a better chance of controlling the clock, it gives you a better chance of keeping your defense off the field. It gives them a better chance of putting points on the board, and it's going to give them a better chance to open up the receivers, who obviously need to be more than wide open to catch.
Right.
So this should have been the game plan the entire season. Me and you have been mad about this the entire season. It felt really good to see them do this and to see them. And the biggest thing to me, Mark, is none of this was forced. Every time he took off, he took what they were giving him. Instead of him passing up what they were giving him so he could throw the ball and try to force it through the air, in this particular game, he said, they're going to give me running lanes. They're going to rush me. I have to scramble. I might as well take off if the hole is there. And that's what he did. And lo and behold, it turned into 47 points. And one last point, I'm tired of hearing people talk about how, if a team's down, then running the ball is out of the question. If a team is down, then they got to throw the ball and move the ball through the air to catch up. They scored quicker on the ground in this game than they ever have through the air.
Yes, that is correct.
This maybe through the air is quicker for everybody else, but this is what they should do. I don't care if they're down by 2 scores, 14 points, 10 points. This right here is what they need to do to keep themselves in the game.
All right, fair enough. Okay, you guys, either you guys have anything to add to that?
Or did covered it.
Yeah, I know. He just let it all hang bare.
My bad, dog. This shit's really been bugging me all year, and even though it almost cost me my fantasy win, I really enjoyed watching the game, and it felt good to see it.
All right, so this is me walking back one of my takes. I don't know if this fella will be able to sustain this, but he has done it enough to where, and I've been quite disrespectful enough to where I have to walk back my takes. It's time for me, and maybe some of you out there as well, to put some respect on Baker Mayfield's name, man. Baker Mayfield went out there and he balled. 347 yards, 2 interceptions, was it, I believe, or something like that?
Yeah,
like
something like that.
A gang of touchdowns. Like the guy played an excellent game. And he has been playing an excellent game all year since Odell Beckham went down. So, I guess part of my question to you guys is, was Odell the problem? Was Odell holding Baker Mayfield back from being great?
Wow. I'll say this partially. 2 thoughts about this. Because he did have a couple, I want to say about 2 games that he, made some plays with, were games that Odell Beckham was on the field. One game in particular, Odell Beckham was the reason for the wins. If I'm not mistaken, I'm sure you saw that game, the highlight where he had the reverse option, where he had the option to throw. He keeps it and he takes it like 60 yards. He made like 2 or 3 big plays down the stretch in that game. And he was the reason for them winning those games in combination with Baker Mayfield's play. But I do feel like whether it's Odell Beckham asking for the ball, whether it's the coaching staff trying to encourage Baker Mayfield to throw him the ball to make sure that he doesn't complain, or whether it's just Baker Mayfield feeling an unnecessary pressure to get his star receiver the ball, it doesn't matter. Yes, previously to Odell Beckham going down, it seemed like there's a lot of times where it just seemed like Baker was trying to force the ball to Odell Beckham, or he's overlooking other guys because Odell Beckham is on the field. Yes, now that he's just been looking for plays to make, it seems as though he's doing a lot more with the ball, especially late in the game. He's just looking for the open guy. I still think that Baker Mayfield, in the games that I've seen, he's missing guys. He's missing guys that are open. There's certain things on the field that he still isn't seeing 100%. He's still young. He's only in what is this, his second year? Yeah, like he's still young.
No, this might be his third.
Or no, I think it is his third year. It's his third year. Yes, my bad. But he's still young. He's not going to see everything. It just is what it is. But the fact of the matter is, he's making plays where he wasn't making plays before. And I do feel like it's largely in part that there's no pressure on him to force feed anybody on the team. If you look at the end of this game, he was passing everybody. Donovan Peoples-Jones. You even made the point that his number 1 receiver wasn't even getting the ball. Jarvis Landry was not even getting the ball. He was just passing the ball where it needed to go to make the plays that he needed to make to keep his team in the game. Right. So, yes, I do think Odell, I can't sit here and say that it's the coaching staff's fault or everybody else's fault. If I'm going to lean towards something, I'm going to lean towards Odell Beckham vocalizing that he wants the ball as being the problem. Because guess what? There was another quarterback that he had that was trying to force feed him the ball somewhere else.
Right.
It's if it's following you, I have to assume that you're involved in it.
Exactly. So yeah, man, that's mainly why I asked the question. Chris or Tyrone, anything?
No, he's right. I just think Baker Mayfield's just playing freer. He doesn't have that pressure of, because I feel like Odell Beckham's a very vocal guy. At least he seems like that in the media, at least. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think just that pressure, and obviously Odell's like a big name in football. So, I mean, there's going to be pressure on Baker Mayfield to get him the ball. So, I mean, I think I agree with that. By the way, it's funny because you were killing him last week, Mark. Yeah. And now you're like on his side now. So that's funny.
Well, and I'm not even giving him a hard time about it. I mean, I understand why he's like, yo, Like you got to understand, Baker's been in the league for 2 years prior to this. Like I can't take 10 to 12 games to be like, yo, this is this is it. You know what I'm saying? Like I get why he had his doubts. He wanted to see a little bit more. I felt like I saw enough. So I understand why he felt the way he did last week. I disagreed, but that's why I'm not giving him a hard time, because he immediately, like, this was a showing this is prime time. You know what I'm saying?
It was against the Ravens defense.
It's against the Ravens. He lit them up. Like, I don't think the Ravens defense has been lit up this bad this entire year. So, like, no, like, this is it. You know, he had some questions about the quality of opponents and the quality of defenses and all these other things and the losses they took in the beginning of the year, and they got answered. I mean, it's just the honest, hey, I was wrong. You know what I mean? Like, what can you do, man? But I mean, I think this game definitely proved without a doubt that Baker is, you can't take anything away from what he's doing this season.
Right. Like, one thing that people will get, like, is, if you listen to me long enough, is that when I trash talk, I speak in a lot of hyperbole. Like, I'll be extra as hell with the with
super extra last week.
Yeah, I don't even see. Here's the funny thing: I don't even remember what I said. Like, out of sight, out of mind, as far as I'm concerned. Like, oh well, that was last week.
You essentially said that he's going to be the reason why they lose in the playoffs and probably in the first round. That's essentially what you were saying. But you were saying that he doesn't have it in him to make plays in the end of games.
But funny thing is, that part, the first part, I still believe. Now, the second part, he doesn't have it in him to make plays. I might have to walk that back, but yes, But I do feel as though that when they lose in the playoffs, it will be because of him. Like, that's just how I feel.
Yeah, and that's a fair assessment, and that's not even an indictment on him as a quarterback who's in his third year. But the way that you were saying it though was like, why would you even ever think that Baker Mayfield isn't a complete liability on offense? That's the way that you were saying it.
Well, granted, the last 2 years he has been nothing but that.
But I felt like the way that you were saying it, you were completely ignoring his body of work up until this point in the season. And it's not that you were ignoring it. You were like, I see it, but look at the opponents. Yeah, I see it, but it's not sustainable. Yeah, I see it, but like you just like, you were like, yo, this is a bum that's exceeding his expectations. His 15 minutes is about to run out, is the way that you felt.
Yeah, and now
you're like, well, maybe it's not 15 minutes.
Maybe he got 20. Maybe he has 20 minutes in him. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Like, listen, I can't call it. I'm just here, baby. I'm just like,
maybe he's got an hour, but I still don't trust him all the way. You know, like,
exactly. I still don't fuck with Baker Mayfield. Like, he's just, but it is what it is.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, some might say he has weapons.
Right. Like
you know what I mean? Like,
listen, like, what happens if he didn't have that? If he didn't have that 2-car caboose of a train and Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb? What happens? Yeah, what happens if the game is all on him? What happens?
Hey, Mark, let's keep it a buck. People was trying to put Alex Smith in the top 5 QB conversation when he was playing with Kansas City. This shit was wild. I'm like, what? Alex Smith? Why is everybody? You know, but it is what it is. You know, you get weapons. Sometimes you get weapons and people make plays and it makes you look good, you know?
But I will say, but like, that's the thing about me, is that as much as I talk shit, I'm willing to give you your props and fall on my sword and say I was wrong where I was wrong. And where I feel as though I was wrong is that Baker Mayfield is better than my assessment, and it may have something to do with the amount of attention that Odell Beckham commands when he's on the field.
Yes.
So I'm willing to walk it back on that based on what I'm seeing now. But I still don't, if everybody was like, your pick of a QB. Baker Mayfield is definitely not in my top 15. So
yeah, I say let's move on to the next topic. But right at the end, I'll say this: a lot of the pressure comes from people like you, Mark. Not to call you out, but people like you who feel like, yo, if you got a guy on your team that could catch 50-50 balls, I don't care if they open or not. If it's single coverage, throw that motherfucker the ball.
But see, the way Odell, no, because Odell's not really a 50-50 guy.
You might not feel that way, but a majority of people do feel that way.
Well, then they would be wrong in their assessment of Odell.
They might be. They might be, but I'm just telling you but it's things like that that make him feel like, yo, he's an amazing talent at catching the ball. I can throw it to him and just have him make the play. And sometimes when he doesn't make the play, now what are they doing? Are they looking at Odell? Kinda, but mostly they're looking at Baker to say, yo, you can't even get Odell the ball. So it's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So
okay. Tyrone, you have any thoughts?
No thoughts, sir.
Okay. All right. Look, man, we're going. All right. Now we're going to get into. I got to get back to my page here. Let's go. You know what? We'll cover this on another. We'll cover that portion on another episode. It's not really important now, but I did want to talk very quickly. Giannis Antetokounmpo has signed with the Milwaukee Bucks, and so now everybody can get their dream scenarios out their head and start making real basketball moves. And because Giannis said, I don't care if I never win a playoff game, I'm getting paid. like it don't matter. And Giannis has signed a supermax deal of $228 million. Obviously paying him that much is going to leave them tight. And the fact that nobody wants to be in fucking Milwaukee is another big reason why they will be hard pressed to get anyone. And when you have a player like Giannis who's going to constantly keep you in the playoff hunt, your draft position will more than likely be crap for a while. So, this is pretty much Milwaukee being happy with audience, I guess, and Giannis just being happy being paid. So, what's your guys' thoughts on it? Would you chase the money or would you chase the ring?
Well, it kind of shows what he's about, doesn't it? I mean, in fairness, he did say what, 3 years ago? I saw a tweet today. He was like something about him saying he's loyal or something like that.
He wanted to retire. He said it years ago where he said he wanted to retire as a Milwaukee Buck. He has said it before. Do I think he signed this deal because he wants to retire as a Milwaukee Buck? No, I do not believe that at all. But I'll get into it. Tyrone, what would you do? He said, would you take the money or would you be looking for a better situation? Because you get,
that's the motivation right there, the money. But if it was me, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't use those words. I wouldn't let people know that. If I was just there for the money and not a ring, I was not going to say that. I'm going to at least make it seem like, and that affects the team dynamics as well, because it's.
But he doesn't have to say it because it's blatantly obvious when you take a supermax with a team that you just said the year where you just said, okay, I want to explore my options elsewhere. I don't want to be here. Trade me. But then they dropped 228 M's on the table. And you're like, well, here I go, signing on this line. Pretty much said it. You didn't.
What's understood does not need to be said. Yeah,
in the words of Gerald Levert, it's written all over your face.
Hey, $250 million is a lot of money. I can't sit here, as Sean would say, as a regular ass person, and say, "Oh yeah, no, I want a ring." You know what I mean? I don't care about money, so I don't know.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
but if you join the team, your whole purpose, the whole purpose you're doing this is to accomplish something, at least for the franchise. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay. So here's my take on it, man. My take is a little bit more layered. And Giannis has already, he put the pressure on them prior to the beginning of last year by stating that he made it known that he wasn't sure if he was going to stay there. So he put the pressure on them to try to make moves, right? He did that prior to this year.
Mm-hmm.
He really put the pressure on them. It's the reason why they went out and got Drew Holiday and all that other stuff, you know? Like he started to be a little bit more vocal about his situation. Whether or not he said those things just trying to put pressure on the organization to build a team around him, or whether he was seriously considering leaving, nobody knows. But to my belief, I think he was considering leaving. I honestly think he was. Now, when it comes to this contract, though, if I, not to say if I was his agent, I'll say this is the way that agents kind of roll. His agent was probably telling him, look, it's already out there that you're putting the organization on notice. Taking this money is not going to completely take them off notice. They probably told him, look, take the Supermax. If these dudes do not perform correctly in the front office and we don't get a chip, or you don't like things here, 2-3 years into it, however long into it, it's a 5-year deal, we can still request a trade. You know what I mean? I mean, you got guys like, although Anthony Davis was not on a max deal, on a Supermax when he got traded to the Lakers, it's still a situation to where they knew they were going to have to have that cap space because he was going to be looking for the Supermax after the next year. So the point is, they probably coached them and said, take the money now, because if you're unhappy, you can bitch and moan about it later and you can request a trade. Some unfortunate Supermax player like a John Wall or a James Harden will eventually just be traded and take your place. That's something that's just it doesn't matter if they want to go there or not. If the GMs are tired of them, they'll just trade them wherever they're going to get the best value for. So they let him know that, hey, you can sign the Supermax deal and you can still get traded and end up on a team that you like, versus you taking less money to go to the team that you like and not be able to capitalize on getting the Supermax. And Tyrone, I don't know if you're familiar with that term. The thing is, they incentivized players staying with the teams. So They said, hey, this is the max that you can make. Let's say it's $200 million over 5 years. But if you get signed with the team that you're currently that you got drafted by, you can make an extra bit of money. So as a player, financially, the best thing to do is just sign a Supermax and say, I'll make sense. I'll just, if in 2 years, if I don't feel comfortable, I'll try to force my way out of the situation. And my contract is guaranteed, so it has to be honored. The only thing is it'll just be in the organization's hands to figure out what kind of deal they can do that works financially. So yes, he can still get out of Milwaukee in this. I do not think that him accepting this deal means that he's going to stay in Milwaukee forever. It definitely doesn't mean that he has to.
Right. Okay. So let's move on. Next topic I have here, sorry for the delay, is, James Harden came back to work today, and the boy looked like he missed 6 months of work rather than 2, because that's how long
6 months pregnant.
It,
Hey, Chris, you see the picture?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Dog,
Yeah, yo, buddy got out the bubble and made his own bubble. Like,
yo, somebody said he looked like Gerald Levert. Like, I don't know, man. This is getting crazy. Like, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like he's been a person who has notoriously been slightly out of shape, but in recent years he's kept it under control. This man looks like he just did not give a fuck in the off season, and it's just crazy to me. Mark, didn't he just have a short off season?
right, like
Jesus,
yeah, like they were. Hold on, I'm really trying to think. Was the last time he played October?
Probably September.
But it was in the Western Conference Finals, like, wasn't it? Or was it? No, it was the round before, second round.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. But still, like, it's
So
close enough to where
months?
it's a lot of weight. He
to 3 months.
put a lot of weight on for only being away from the game for a few months, man. That's it's ridiculous. He did no offseason training at all.
Yeah, but here's the wild part. The wild part of it is because it's really not that he's out of shape for me. The wild part of it is that this dude, knowing that he was looking like this and not training and just living his best life, he was like, yo, I'm not showing up to practice. Y'all better trade me. I want this, that, and the third. I want all this money, like, or I want to be in this situation or whatever. Like, just scratch out the money comment because that's not what happened. But like, he wants to be in this situation, whatever. And Houston is asking for your best player and 3 first-round picks. Meanwhile, this dude is coming in looking like a Oompa Loompa. Like, what's going on, dog?
The man had the red jumpsuit on, looking like Kris Kringle. You know what I'm saying? Like, this dude came in looking like Damon Wayans on Great White Hype. Like, this fool, like, I'm not gonna lie, man. This is the biggest I've ever seen James Harden. And I've seen him out of shape before, but this is ridiculous, man. Like, I can understand. I would keep the jumpsuit on too. I don't want nobody taking pictures of me with my belly out. So, like, I don't know, man. Like, this is disrespectful. Like, this is the craziest thing. It's like, I don't know if he understands that he's working against himself. You can't show up looking like this and be demanding a trade at the same time. Like, if I'm the owner, I'm like, yo, how does this dude want me to trade him? How does he want? Who is trying to take this dude looking like this? Like, I mean, to be honest, Mark, the GM needs to cut it out. They need to cut that shit out, asking for 3 first-round picks in Ben Simmons. If he's going to look like that, he should be asking for 2 second rounds and Tobias Harris. That's what he should be asking for with James Harden showing up looking like that, dog. Like, this is ridiculous, man. James Harden is being absolutely ridiculous, Mark. He's slowly walking down into Antonio Brown territory at this point. Like, I don't know, man. Like, have you seen anything as ridiculous as this in the NBA?
No, I haven't, but I'm looking forward to tomorrow because if they think Zion's fat, boy, oh boy.
Man, boy. Like, I was like, that can't be James Harden. Hey, it's he went on a strip club. He went on a strip club tour, man. He did stop in Atlanta. He was in Magic City. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. The lemon pepper wings didn't have the same effect on Lou Williams, so I don't know what's going on. I don't know how many orders he got, but you know, obviously his metabolism is working in a different way. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, see, the way his metabolism setup is, you know.
Yeah. Hey, he need to get that shit under control, man. He might have a thyroid problem. Yeah.
Oh boy. All right, man. Look, I'm going to save some of these topics for next week because, and this is just for y'all people out there. There's other topics in basketball that I want to talk about, which is Russ's leadership, LiAngelo being cut, and also next week I want to talk about Travis Kelce leading the league in
yards.
in receiving yards. But there's two other topics that I want to get to before we close, and we're pushing up against that time. So look forward to that next week. But there was another topic that I missed in the fighting arena that I wanted to discuss with you guys while I have you both. Clarissa Shields is moving over to the MMA arena. For those out there that do not follow female boxing, Clarissa Shields is the current champion, and she has been a dominating champion at that. And Clarissa has joined John Jones' team out in Albuquerque to do her training. So she is a part of that camp. I forget the name of the camp off the top of my head, but I'm sure Tyrone will tell me, seeing how he is a John Jones super fan. Please,
he probably runs the fan page for the camp, but sure. Let's ask Tyrone.
Winkle John.
Just like
it's
that.
called what now?
Man.
I should have just said I don't know.
You spoke up now. Go ahead and speak, brother. Go ahead.
That's Winkle John. Winkle John's John. John Winkle.
Okay, thank you. All right. So yes, he
How
joined.
much they pay you? Never mind. He said I'd do it for free. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
She joined John Winkle, Joe, and now she's working with John Jones and Holly Holmes and others that have come out of that fighting gym. How do you guys feel about Clarissa joining the MMA arena? Let's start with you, Chris.
Well, she's only 25, and she's a professional boxing champion. A lot of people have compared it to what Holly Holm did, and obviously she did a good job. She was a lot older when she came in, though.
Yes, a lot older.
I mean, Clarissa's got a lot of room to grow. She went to PFL. She didn't go straight to the UFC, so she at least has a lower level of competition that she's going to be up against. So she went to probably the most well-known gym in MMA, and you know what I mean. I think she's made some good moves there. She's training with John Jones. Obviously, she's going to have problems initially with with the ground game probably, but she's going to kill some people on the feet for sure, man. She's going to be knocking people out left, right, and center. So, yeah.
Did Gina Carano come out of Winkle, John?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that.
I'll look that up while you guys talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were saying so you were saying, yeah, she'll definitely kill people on their feet. And I find that to be fascinating because just in this particular UFC card that just passed, we saw with Fiziev and we saw with Moreno, like people with boxing backgrounds that were landing boxing combinations in these fights, and they were landing these boxing combinations effectively. And that's something that we haven't really seen too often in MMA prior to recently. Prior people with boxing backgrounds usually have gone for the haymakers or the overhand rights. Like they've been going for the killer shots versus the combinations. And in these two fights, in the two fights that I mentioned, just from this card alone, you see the boxing combinations and how effective it actually can be in
way
the
more
MMA arena. Yeah, and it can be in the MMA arena, and when you see that, it kind of gives you a lot of hope for someone like Clarissa Shields. How do you feel about it, Tyrone?
I really don't. I saw the videos. I was watching her. I really don't know how I feel about it. We've seen boxers cross over into MMA before, and it's just, we get hot bottom and then they just get wrecked. So, but for the females, you've never seen a female boxer. Well, Holly Holm, but I think she went kickboxing, then came over.
Right.
So
yes,
she got her kick game up. We're then working with her kicks, but I haven't seen many females boxers come over with Clarissa Shields caliber, and she is working with John Jones. She is working with Holly Holm. She is working with Jackson Wink. That's a superb gym. So I'm actually just looking for it. I don't have any hopes about it. I don't have necessarily any feelings about it. I'm just looking to see. I'm going to see what happens. See how she does. She seems dedicated. She seems to be there all the time. She's fitting in well with the gym, with the people there. You got Karate Hottie there, John Jones. You got Holly Holm there, and she's fitting in well with those guys. And they kind of those three guys took her under their wings. So that also doesn't happen to a lot of boxers who come over. So they don't get the proper caliber training that she's getting. She already got the hands though. So
and I
the
was
4-ounce gloves. I don't know what that's gonna do to some female, man. I feel sorry for the first fight she has. Man, with the 4-ounce gloves.
And I was correct. Gina did come out of Jackson Wink. So
yeah.
Yep. So that shows the former champions. Jackson Wink is already they already built champions, but as far as female champions, you have two former female champions, at least that I know of straight off the bat, that came from Jackson Wink. So
yeah.
And honestly, if Gina didn't run into that beast of a human being,
Cyborg,
then Gina probably would have kept going to have a really impressive career.
Cyborg enjoyed that. Enjoyed that.
Yeah, Cyborg scared Gina off of MMA, which is unfortunate for us because Gina, she was impressive when she fought. Just what you going to do with Cyborg, though?
What can you do with Cyborg?
Do what Amanda Nunes did. Yeah, exactly.
Well, but do what Amanda Nunes did. Do you know how many years later, it took for Amanda Nunes to do that? I truly don't believe if Amanda Nunes fought Cyborg when Gina fought Cyborg, that Amanda Nunes is winning that. I do not believe that.
I personally would give Amanda Nunes more credit than that. But what I will say is, don't let that shit get it fucked up. Do not let that shit have you believing that you could go in a ring with Cyborg just because Amanda Nunes went in there and wrecked some shit up. Please do not mistake that for maybe she's falling off. Maybe I got a chance, because I'm telling you right now, everybody else would get cleaned up. You leave her the fuck alone. Don't do it.
Don't get me wrong. I still think Amanda Nunes puts up an amazing fight and all that shit.
Oh no,
I'm just
as
saying,
far as the domination of what happened, I don't think it would have went that way. Right. I agree with that. Yeah. Okay, so all right,
Shawn, you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, so this is what I'll say. I like the path that she's chosen to take, because I know we brought up the Holly Holm thing. Holly Holm did kickboxing. She did kickboxing, and she basically kind of didn't lose in kickboxing. She did boxing, and she kind of just dominated in boxing, kind of in the same way that Shields is dominating now. But she still had experience in kickboxing prior to going into MMA. And you know how it is in MMA. It's mixed martial arts. The more skill sets and the more fighting backgrounds you have, the better, because you're going to need all of them. So her coming in there with not only experience using her hands, but also using her feet is definitely a greater advantage than Shields has right now. But I like the fact that Shields is not trying to jump straight into the UFC, and the fact that not only is she starting on a lot lower level, but she's also training with the best. That as far as like her dealing with the transition of going from boxing to MMA, there's nobody better that she could train with right now than Holly Holm. And then also, you're talking about the undisputed pound for pound right now, John Jones. So she's in the right gym. She's in the right gym, and even though she's training with those folks, she's saying, I know that I'm not ready to just jump into this world. She's given the proper respect to MMA that she should give. Even though she's been a dominant champion in boxing, she's like, you know what? I want to do this shit, but I want to do it for real, and I'm going to take it serious. So I do appreciate the path that she's taken, and that is a big thing for me, is Holly Holm not only fought in 2 different arenas, she dominated in 2 different arenas before she went to MMA. So this was not like, even though Holly Holm was older, it still was a thing to where she had great success in more than one arena before she went to MMA. So this is a slightly different situation than Holly Holm, but I like the fact that Shields is basically aware of that. She's very self-aware, it seems. And it seems like she's taken the right path. So I believe that if she continues to do things the right way as she is right now, then yes, I do believe with her talents that already exist, with her size, with her strength, with her athleticism that she probably has, that I've seen, she should be able to have success in MMA. It's going to take her longer than it did for Holly Holm, but she'll get there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right. So with that, now we're going to get into the thing that we want to talk about lastly, which is fantasy football, man. I'm in the semifinals in 2 leagues, and I'm out in 1. And but Shawn is the big winner here, because just tell your story, Shawn. Let them know how you get to play me, go against me in the semifinals of the playoffs.
Is that some type of like prize I won or something? Is that supposed to mean something that I'm playing you? Look, man. All right. Before I get into our regular season record against each other, I won 2 games to none. But that's besides the point. Before I get into that, let's talk about this freaking game that I thought I was gonna lose. I definitely, like, it's the worst luck ever. So I go into this game. I'm like, okay, I'm going this week. Julio Jones is out, so I can't start him. And I'm like, all right, cool. Well, who do I have on my bench? I have Deebo Samuel. You know what? It doesn't matter who the Niners play. They only got 2 options: Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. That's all they got to throw to. No matter who they're playing, he's gonna get his points. Lo and behold, the first drive of the game, Deebo Samuel goes out. It wouldn't have been particularly bad, but the problem that I faced on Thursday night is that Robert Woods, a guy who's been going anywhere between 15 and 30 fantasy points, decided to give me 8. He had his worst game of the season in the first round of the playoffs. So now I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, luckily my opponent had some really bad games, but they got some big games too. They had Aaron Rodgers. Did they have Travis Kelce? I think they did. But they got some big games out of some guys. Alvin Kamara, I believe they got some games, right? And I'm like, okay, now it's a problem. Now I absolutely am going into this thing saying I need Josh Allen to show out for me on Sunday. He shows out, but not enough. I'm down 11.8 points going into this Ravens game. And lo and behold, it's the third quarter and Lamar Jackson has only thrown the ball 6 times. And I need their tight end, Mark Andrews, to give me 12 points. And I'm like, they're not even throwing the ball. He's like, they've thrown the ball 6 times going into the third quarter. I'm like, there's no one going to win this game. 2 minutes left in the game. The Ravens go down the field, and I'm like, please just give him the ball. You know, I got 6 points out of him right now. they throw it's like a 50-yard pass to Hollywood Brown. At this point, I'm like, the game is over. Okay, I'm done. I succeed. You know what I'm saying? I tell the guy, congratulations, good game. You got me. I lost by X amount of points. He's like, it's not over yet. And then he mentioned something. He goes, hey, man, no, I think you're going to get on this next drive. I'm like, next drive? What the hell is he talking about? The game's pretty much over. The Ravens got the lead. There's no time really left. Lo and behold, the Browns go and score within 30 seconds. So I'm like, okay, the Ravens get the ball back. This is literally the last drive of the game. They have to throw the ball. They have to try to make some type of effort to win the game. And I'm like, I just don't believe that it's going to happen. Lo and behold, I believe that Mark Andrews gets 2 catches and he gets just the right amount of yards. I win this game by like 0.8 points. So I was saved. I shouldn't have been saved. I definitely should have lost this game, but the football gods were on my side. They allowed me to win. I live to fight another day. It's insane. It's a pretty insane situation. And that's not even the craziest thing that happened fantasy football wise with that game. The Browns got the ball back with like 30 seconds left, and they end up taking a safety. There are people that are throwing things out of the window right now, probably still, because they got eliminated from the playoffs because the Browns decided they wanted to take a safety because they didn't want to just end the game where it was with 30 seconds left. They took a safety. The opponent that they're playing had the Baltimore Ravens defense, and I've seen people lose close games as much as by as little as 0.1. So although I thought I had it bad, I won. My opponent probably, Mark, did you see Greg say anything after he lost? Because I don't know. I don't even know if he's alive still after he lost that game to me.
He said good game, I believe, or something.
He said good game before the plays played out. I didn't see him afterwards. So I'm just saying, he's probably going through some heartache. But regardless, I get to play Mark. We get to face each other in the semifinals in one league. Unlike Mark, I am actually still in the playoffs in all 3 leagues. I'm in the semifinals for all 3 leagues that we're in. Mark and I have a rivalry that goes back to whenever we started playing against each other. And the way it goes is if either of us wins 2 games in a regular season, the other person wins in the playoffs. If one person dominates the regular season matchup, somehow it always ends up in us playing in the playoffs and the other person wins. So yes, I'm bragging about beating him twice this year, but if history tells us anything, I might be in trouble leading into this week. But it'll be another interesting showdown here. I honestly believe that either one of us could win the championship. So I'll say this before we play each other, Mark. If you beat me, I'm going to need you to go ahead and win so I can at least say I lost to the champ.
Hey, man, if I beat you, I'm trying to be the champ.
Okay.
I will not wish you the same luck, though. If you
You're just going to be salty about it?
Yeah, if you beat me, I want you to lose. Just go ahead and lose.
Come on, Mark, man. I thought we were supposed to be boys and shit.
I'm trying to be the first champ. I'm
trying to be the first champ. Nobody's won. It's been a different person every year. So I'm trying to be the first 2-time champ out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do. But
yeah, exactly. I'm trying to be the first champ, dog. I can't let you be the first champ.
Hey, Mark, I'm not even going front. Fuck around, let me win 3 championships. I'm gonna be walking around this shit like a boxing champ. I'm gonna have 3 different belts. Unified, baby. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be looking ridiculous. I'm just telling you now, Mark. The ridiculous is gonna come out because I'm not playing around. Let me win more than 1.
All right. Well, look, man. That's really all the time we got for this one, man. I appreciate everybody listening. If you made it all the way through this with us, I appreciate you guys. And I appreciate my fighting expert and his challenger. Next time you guys are on, we had a full jam-packed episode this one, but next time you guys is on, you can actually challenge Tyrone on his John Jones love and his Daniel Cormier hate because Chris
Daniel Cormier too.
because hey, listen.
Terrible.
Listen, I do hate Daniel Cormier. That's just a fact. I'm not going to hide it. I hate him. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I like John as a fighter, but that's where it stops. I like him just simply as a fighter. But anyway, but thank you guys for joining in and being a part of the experience with us. Tyrone, Chris, you know, always appreciate it. Look, man, if you have questions about these shirts, man, or the hoodie, hit us up. And with that being said, like, subscribe, tell your friends about us, share the content, man. Like, if you're at work, listen to it, and then somebody be like, oh, what you listening to? Be like, I'm listening to some dope-ass brothers, you know what I'm saying, talk about sports.
Yeah, you know, say, let that shit blast. Take the headphones off, man.
No, because... Like, I just could have sworn I heard you say fuck like 4 times. You can't do that at work. Like, that ain't gonna work.
What? You know what I'm saying? Sound like y'all need better jobs.
All right. But listen, on that note, if you fuck with us, we fuck with y'all. Peace.
All right.